You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, and Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips and Whit Connor. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. You get a call that a large market has been held up. You have a good description of the thief. Your job? Get him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, March 10th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 8:02 a.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank. It's really coming down, isn't it?
Yeah, pouring out in the valley.
That so?
Yeah. Keeps coming down like this, going to cause a lot of trouble. Sure makes Faye mad.
Yeah, how's that?
Well, it gets to raining like this, and she begins to think about the house. You know, doing something about it, changing stuff around.
That so?
Spent the whole day yesterday moving furniture. Finally got it all set just before dinner. Looked pretty good, too.
What happened?
Well, we got through dinner and all went in to look at television.
Yeah.
The way she had the furniture, none of us could see a thing. The chairs were either so close you couldn't see her, or else they were way across the room.
No, well, you're not supposed to get too close, are you, anyway?
Yeah, but Joe, we only got a 10-inch screen. We got one of those big magnifiers on it, and if you get to one side, everybody looks like they got the mumps. Had to move all the stuff back the way it was.
It's a hot shot. I'll get it. All right, get your coat. We got one to roll on.
What is it?
Liquor store robbery. 8:12 a.m. We arrived at the scene of the holdup. It was a large liquor grocery store at the corner of San Marino Avenue and 6th Streets. A radio unit was already there. Frank and I checked with him, and then we talked with the victim, a Mr. Henry Alden.
I was just standing there at the counter. This old guy came in, pulled a gun, told me he wanted the money. I gave it to him.
Uh-huh. He said in the phone that he was elderly. Is that right?
Yeah, old guy. Must have been about 65 or 70. Real bum.
How do you mean?
Well, the way he was dressed, you know. Old clothes, real seedy.
Uh-huh. What if you tell us just what happened?
Well, sure. Well, it was about 8 this morning. I opened up, and I was there making out the deposit slip for the bank. Guy walked in the back door and pulled his gun. Told me he wanted the money.
Uh-huh.
Well, like I said, I gave it to him. He told me to get into the closet back there. Told me to lie down on the floor. Well, I did, and he had that gun pointed right at my head. I did like he told me.
I see. What happened then?
Well, he walked over to the door and flipped the lock on it a couple of times, you know, make sure it worked.
Yeah.
And then he figured it was okay, and he told me not to make any noise for 5 minutes. And he locked the door and left. That's it. Took all the money.
How much money did he take, would you know?
Yeah, to the penny. I just finished adding it up. Just a minute.
All right.
I got the figures on the machine. Tell you right away. That is $5,200.52. That's it exactly.
You said the guy came in the back door, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, were you open? I mean, was the store open for business?
No, we weren't. You see, I usually don't open before 8:30. Leave the back door open, though, for deliveries, bread, milk, stuff like that.
Wonder if you could give us a description of the man.
Well, sure, like I said, he was old. Say around 70, around in there.
About how tall was he?
I'd say maybe 5'7", not much more than that.
How much did he weigh, would you know?
Not much, maybe 125.
How about his complexion?
Real tan, like he'd been out in the sun a lot. Face was all wrinkled.
How about the color of his eyes?
Blue, real blue.
Now, what about his clothes?
A real bum. Had on this old overcoat, brown, all frayed, ragged around the sleeves. Had a patch on the right elbow. Patch looked like it was kind of dark serge material.
Was he wearing a hat?
Yeah, blue, all beat up. You could see the dirt around the brim.
How about his shirt and trousers?
Blue striped shirt and old kind of brown pants, no press. Looked like he was getting ready to jump in them. Real seedy.
Yes, sir. Did he wear glasses?
No, he didn't.
Was he clean-shaven, or did he wear a mustache?
Well, he had about a 4 or 5 day old growth of beard, white.
I see. Did he have any marks or scars that you could see?
No, nothing like that, at least not that I could see.
How about the gun? Was it a revolver or an automatic?
Well, it looked like an automatic. Might have been a .45. I didn't look too close at that.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of an accent when he talked to you?
No, nothing like that.
All right, Mr. Alden. Joe, I'll get the description out.
Right, Frank, thanks. Mr. Alden, did the man say anything to you that might help identify him?
No, not that I can think of. He kept telling me that he was real sorry he had to do this. Said, I'm really sorry, but I have to have the money. I have to. Kept asking me if I understood. I told him no. He said that someday I would. Real weird. Kept apologizing while he robbed me.
I see. You the owner here, are you?
No, I'm just a manager. The owner's Mr. Wood. He's going to be real mad when he hears about this. Second time in 3 months we've been held up. Getting a little tiring. A couple more times the insurance company isn't going to stand for it.
Yes, sir. Do you usually have that much money in the store?
Most of the weekends, yeah. You see, a lot of our stuff is pretty expensive. This is about the only store in the neighborhood that's open over Sunday. Get a lot of trade. Weekend business usually runs between 3,000 and 5,000.
About how many employees are there in the store?
3 all told. We stay open until 2:30 in the morning. I come in the morning and work until noon. Hank comes in then. There's 2 of us until 6, and John comes in. He works on through. Once in a while, Mr. Wood comes in himself when we get busy.
Wonder if I could have their names and addresses.
Oh, sure. They weren't involved in it, I'm sure of that.
Well, we have to check them out anyway, Mr. Alden.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I tell you, he knew what he was doing, the way he moved. The way he knew just when to come in. This fellow's done that sort of thing before. Trying to say he was sorry about taking the money. He wasn't fooling anybody. No, sir, not a soul. Real bum, seedy, you know?
Yes, sir.
All that baloney about how he had to have the money. Wasn't any other way. He wasn't sorry, not at all.
Yeah, well, he probably will be. 9:30 a.m., Frank and I started a canvass of the immediate vicinity. None of the store owners in the area had seen anyone answering the description of the hold-up man. None of them had seen any suspicious cars in the area. We asked the liquor store manager to go with us to the city hall to look at the mug books. He called the store owner, and when he arrived, we drove downtown. The victim went through the mug books on known hold-up men, but failed to make an identification. A local and an APB were gotten out on the suspect. We asked the stats office to make a run on the MO used, and they came back with 14 possibles. It took us 2 days to check them out. They led us nowhere. The papers caught on to the story, and letters began to pour in with advice and tips. On Monday, March 17th, a full week after the robbery, Frank and I had lunch and checked back into the office.
See the afternoon papers, Joe?
Yeah, pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, they're sure taking up the story. Everybody got a different idea who the old guy is and why he did it. Have you read some of the stories?
Yeah, sure. The only thing is, a lot of people seem to think the old guy's a real Robin Hood. Now, that's all right, but they forget that he walked in that store with a gun. Wasn't anybody to say that he wouldn't have pulled the trigger if somebody got in his way.
Yeah. I sure be glad when we get him, find out what it's all about.
I'll get it. Robbery Friday. Yes, ma'am, it is. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, we haven't caught him yet. What was that? Yes, ma'am. All right, would you give me that address again? Yes, I have it. Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you. There's another one.
What's that?
Landlady runs a place out on 9th Street. Yeah. Says she's got a tenant that she's sure is the old fellow we're looking for.
How come?
Says all the old guy does is stay up in his room. The other day, the landlady's daughter went upstairs for something. Tenant chased her down the stairs, yelling at her to stay away from his room, all that sort of thing. He was tired of people not respecting his rights, the rights of an old man, something like that. I couldn't get it all on the phone. The description she gave him pretty much matches the one we got.
What do you figure?
Well, we got no choice. We'll check it out. 1:58 p.m. Frank and I got to the rooming house on 9th Street. It was a large 4-story building. We talked to the landlady, and she gave us what information she could. She told us that the tenant's name was Roger Dietrich. She told us that he'd lived in the building for the past 8 years. She went on to tell us that he had some sort of a private income and that he rarely left his room. The landlady explained that earlier the same morning, her 11-year-old daughter had gone to the attic to get some old newspapers, and that on the way she'd run into Mr. Dietrich. The tenant had yelled at her and told her that as long as he was paying rent on the room, he wouldn't have anybody snooping around. We checked and found that he got no mail except the single letter a month with the income check. 2:30 p.m. Frank and I went up to the 4th floor and knocked at the door. You want to try it again?
Yeah.
Go away! I don't want any. Go away!
Mr. Dietrich?
Who is it?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Just a minute. Who'd you say you were?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Oh, what are your names?
My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Uh-huh. I guess it's all right. Come in.
Thanks, sir.
Well, guess it's about that thing this morning, huh?
Sir?
Oh, you don't have to play cagey with me. I know that she called you, the old busybody. That brat kid of ours is just like her. He's always snooping. Well, there wasn't anything to it. The kid come up here and was snooping around trying to find out what I was doing. I'm not ready yet.
Well, what do you mean, sir, not ready?
No, the book's not finished yet. It will be in another year. And the whole world can see it. Maybe mend their ways. Give them something to hope to avoid what's coming.
Well, sir, that's not why we're here.
Don't lie to me. I know all about you. I know that you'd be around. You're trying to stop me. I knew it. I knew it all the time. You see that stack of magazines over there?
Yeah?
Every copy of Life magazine ever printed, right from the first. I keep track, you know. I use it for research.
Well, I don't quite understand, Mr. Dietrich.
That's from my book.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be in 5 volumes called The Evils of the Machine Age and Its Effect on Mankind. 5 volumes, yes, sir, 5 volumes. Got the first 4 finished. Working on the last one now. That's how I knew you were coming. I worked it out on the charts. Mm-hmm.
Well, we'd like to talk to you about what you were doing a week ago, sir.
Oh, you would? Oh, well. Well, yes, I figured on that. I knew that you'd be checking me. I knew it. I saw it in the chart. I'm getting close now. Well, it's going to sit up and take notice. Sit right up.
Yes, sir. Did you go out last Monday?
Monday? Well, yes. I went out to get some supplies. I got them come right back.
Would you tell us what time of day that was?
Oh, night, yes, sir. I always go out at night.
Yes, sir. Where'd you get these, what are these, supplies?
Well, that's a little place down the street. I always buy things there. Very nice, very nice.
Yes, sir. And the man down there would be able to tell us if you were there, wouldn't he?
Oh, sure, yes. Him and me had a talk about my book. Fellow's really interested. We talk all the time. I just finished volume 4, you know, about what's going to happen if the machine is allowed to continue. Oh, it's going to be terrible.
I beg your pardon?
The way the world's going. All these atom bombs. Now the hydrogen bomb. Gonna blow the world right away. Even if they stop that, things aren't going to be the same. They're all going to be different.
All right.
You just betcha. You know what kids are going to look like 1,000 years from now?
Well, sir, I imagine pretty much the same way they do now, huh?
Yes, sir, and that's just where you're wrong. See, I got a picture right here. That's volume 4. You know, finished volume 4. I'll get it. There you are. See? I do it up myself.
Yeah. Well, what is it?
Well, you see, that's the way we're all going to look. You see there? See?
Yeah.
That large hair, all brains, little bitty legs. That's from that we won't be doing any walking, you see, just riding all the time. One great big eye right in the middle of the head, and the right arm fit only for eating breakfast food that makes noises and turning on a television set, you see?
Oh.
Clever. Yes, sir. That's what the chart says we're going to look like if we all eat atom bombs.
Yes, sir. I wonder if you'd mind coming downtown with us.
In an automobile?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm afraid not. You see, I don't believe in them. They're not going to last, you see.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Dietrich, but we have to ask you to go with us.
Police business, huh?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Well, I don't like it, but I guess I got no choice. That right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Well, all right. That way. Might as well ride an automobile. Won't be around long, you know. They'll just fade right out of existence.
Is that right?
Yeah. Tell you how it's going to happen in my book.
Uh-huh.
Volume 5.
3:01 p.m. We drove Roger Dietrich down to the city hall and checked him through R&I. We found no record on him. We got in touch with the holdup victim, Henry Alden, and asked him to come down to the city hall to see if he could identify the suspect. He got to the robbery squad room at 4:15 p.m.
No, I'm sure of it. That's not the guy.
Now, what's all this about, anyway? What are you officers trying to do?
Well, it's all right, Mr. Dietrich. We're just conducting a routine investigation. It's all right now.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yes, sir. We can take you home now if you like.
In that police car?
Yes, sir.
Oh, how about this fella? He going too?
No, sir.
Oh, well, now, maybe I'll do just that. Would you mind dropping me off at Pershing Square? I'd like to listen to a speech. A friend of mine's making it this afternoon. Brilliant, man. Oh, my. He's already written 12 books. All on odds.
Sir?
ODDS, odds. Like, what are the chances of a comet falling on your house? What are the chances of a certain horse winning the Kentucky Derby? All things like that, you know. Brilliant man.
Yes, sir.
He's dead broke.
Is that right?
Yep. Spends all his money on research.
I get it. Robbery Friday. Yeah, Barnes. Uh-huh. Yeah. When'd you pick him up? Yeah. All right. No, we'll be right over.
Anything?
Yeah, Barnes over at the main jail says they got a drunk over there who's doing a lot of bragging.
What about?
Heisting the liquor store for $5,200. 4:30 p.m. We had Roger Dietrich taken to his home, and then Frank and I went over to the main jail. We talked to Officer Phil Barnes. He told us that an Arnold Jefferson had been picked up and booked for LAMC 4127A on the previous day. Barnes went on to say that this was Jefferson's 42nd arrest on drunk charges. We had the suspect brought to the interview room, and we talked to him.
All right, Jefferson, now what's all this about you holding up a liquor store?
What do you know about it?
You matched the description of the man who committed the robbery. The clothes there that you're wearing are like the ones the victim described. Now, how about it?
You figure you can prove it without me telling you?
Yeah, if Alden identifies you, we can.
Alden?
He's the man who was robbed.
He's outside now. We want him to take a look at you.
That won't be necessary. You got the right man.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
We had the victim, Henry Alden, look at the suspect, Arnold Jefferson. He identified him positively as the man who had held up the liquor store. We took Jefferson back to the city hall and checked him through R&I. He had no felony record. 7:30 p.m. We took him to the interrogation room.
I knew you'd get me. Knew it all the time.
Is that right?
Sure. I knew it even before I held up the store. You know, I didn't really want to do it. You know, I really meant it when I told him I was sorry about doing it. Really meant it.
Mm-hmm.
Guess maybe you find that kind of hard to believe.
Well, suppose you tell us about it, huh?
Yeah. I guess the best way would be to start from the beginning, huh?
Yeah.
First thing you should understand is I think basically that I'm an honest man. All my life I've never cheated anyone or taken anything that didn't belong to me. I've tried to live pretty much by the golden rule.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes, maybe, lots of times, it'd be a little hard to do, but I did my best.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I was born in the Middle West. Tiny little town. You probably never heard of it. Isn't on most of the map. Went to school there through the 8th grade. Then I decided that I wanted to see the rest of the country. Worked my way through every one of the 48, every one of them.
Uh-huh.
Did a lot of things, met a lot of people.
Is that right?
Well, all that time, all my life, I never did anything real big. Nothing that I could ever tell anybody about and be proud. Nothing to tell people about.
Yes, sir.
I'm 72 years old now. That's a long time to live and never do anything big. Long time.
Mm-hmm.
Came downtown one day, sat in the plaza in the sun, met some real nice people. People like me, people without much reason. Got to coming down every day, sitting and talking, exchanging ideas. Found a lot of good friends. Most of them were alone. And I guess being alone made us members of the same club. Got to be sort of a lodge, 17 of us. Used to meet, talk about things, the way the world was going, how things look for the future, all things like that. Friends.
Yes, sir. How'd you get along all this time? How'd you live?
Oh, I get a little pension from the state, enough to get along on. I don't need much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one day I got to thinking about how I didn't really have anything big to remember. That's when I decided.
You mean on the robbery?
Yep. Decided that if I could get my hands on a lot of money, a lot of it all at once, I could have something.
Yeah?
So I started to figure. First off, I had to figure what kind of a store to rob. Had to be one where I could get enough money. Thought about it quite a while. When I had that figured, I picked out the store. And then I, cased. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I cased the store. Figured how I'd do it. Then I figured that I'd have to have a gun.
Yeah.
Got one of those little plastic ones. Bought at the dime store, fixed it up with shoe black. Couldn't hurt anybody, just plastic. Looked real, but couldn't hurt anyone.
Of course, the victim wouldn't know that, would he?
Yeah, I thought considerable about that. Worried about it a lot. About how if there was any trouble, it'd make it hard with just a plastic gun. Oh, not that I wanted to hurt anybody. I didn't. But I got to thinking what would happen if somebody got scared and thought it was real. Could be trouble there.
Mm-hmm.
No, now, before I go any further, I want you to know that right at this point, I knew I was doing wrong. I knew it. Knew that I'd have to go to jail for what I did. Knew it, and it didn't matter. Had to be that way.
Well, now, if you knew that, why'd you go ahead with the robbery?
Well, wasn't any other way to get the money. At least none that I could think of. And believe me, I tried to think of one.
All right, go ahead.
And I held up the place, took the money, and then I made the man get in the closet. Did that so he wouldn't try to follow me. I was sorry about it. Tried to tell him, but I don't think he really believed it. Don't think he did.
What'd you do then?
I took a bus out to the airport. Thought about taking a cab, but then I figured that I'd want to save as much money as I could so as to have it later.
Yeah.
I inquired around out there at the airport and found a place where I could rent an airplane. I paid for it in advance so there wouldn't be any trouble. Hired it to go to San Francisco. Round trip, both ways.
You hired an airplane?
Yep. Big one. Carried 18 people. That's what I needed. Real comfortable seats, 2 motors. Had a girl painted on the front. From the war, I guess.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I took the bus back to town, and I started walking around the plaza. Rounded up all 17 of my friends, whole bunch of them. Talked to them all. Guys who had been nice to me, even if there wasn't anything I could do for them. Told them to meet me at First and Main, right by the fountain in front of the city hall that night. Told them that I was going to throw a party they'd never forget. Well, we got together that night and took a cab out to the airport. Well, matter of fact, we took 4 cabs. Had to show the drivers that I had the money for the tickets. Guess they thought we was going to try to get a free ride. But anyway, when I showed them the money, they drove us out. Give them a good tip. Nice fellas.
Mm-hmm.
Got on the airplane and flew up to San Francisco. Wonderful. Got into the city and then we started. Really had a time. Lasted 3 days. Wasn't anything we didn't see, nothing we didn't do. 3 days of it. Real living. Everything was on me, paid for it all. Went to the best places, ate the best food, drank the finest wines. Really lived.
Where'd you stay when you were in San Francisco?
Hotel down on Howard. Not the richest in town, but real nice. Clean rooms.
All right, go ahead.
Well, about the time that I thought we'd stayed long enough, we all got on the plane and come back. Got in Wednesday morning. Took cabs downtown, then we all went to breakfast. Had a real whopper. Kind of a farewell for the whole party. After I settled up with the waitress, I only had $1.75 left. Give it to her for a tip. Sure made her happy. I don't guess she makes much down there.
Yeah. Well, did any of your friends know where you'd gotten the money for this party?
No. You see, when I first got the idea, I told them that I had a real rich brother. Told him that he died and that I was his only relative, that all the money would get to me. I figured that I could sort of set things up by doing that. Seemed to work all right. None of them said anything.
Uh-huh. You remember the man you chartered the airplane from?
Oh, sure. Real nice fella. I got his card. I kept it, sort of a souvenir. I can give it to you if you want it.
Yeah, we'll have to have it. You ever done any big time?
Me? Oh, no. Just drunk arrests. Lots of them.
Yeah.
Big thing about this is that I wish there was some way to keep the boys from finding out so they wouldn't have to know. Of course, I know that I'm not going to see him again, but just the same, what are they going to think? How are they going to take this when they hear about it? I don't know. I sure was wrong, real wrong. How long will they put me in jail for, you guys know?
Well, it depends.
Depends on what?
What the court says.
Oh. Still have to go to prison, though, huh?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't got much left. Guess no matter what they say, it's going to be life for me.
Well, sir, we're not the ones to decide that.
Yes, I know. You guys been real nice. In a way, I'm glad it's over. Like I said before, I knew you'd get me. I knew it all the time right from the beginning. Tried to figure out how it'd be when you did get me, what I'd say, how I'd act. Wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Not hard at all. One thing, though,
Yeah, what's that?
I kind of wish I hadn't done it. I really do. I keep thinking of my friends, how they're going to take it.
Yeah. You want to go?
You're going to take me back now, huh?
Yeah, I'm afraid we have to.
Going to put me back in the tank?
No, not this time.
Upstairs?
Yeah, upstairs.
That means I'll have a cell all to myself. Be nice. I'd like to be alone.
All right. You all set, Jefferson?
Yeah.
This way.
72 years and nothing to show for it. Nothing. Only one thing I can really say I did with my life.
What's that, Jefferson?
Wasted 72 years.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 24th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. Arnold Peter Jefferson was tried and found guilty of one count of robbery in the second degree. He was sentenced to the state penitentiary for the term as prescribed by law. Robbery in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 1 year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to thank the editors of Real Magazine for their article High Tension on TV in the April issue now on sale.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Ralph Moody. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield's much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call from a friend who's been offered $5,000 to kill a man. He can't tell you who made the offer. He does tell you that no matter what happens, the man is going to be killed. Your job? Stop it.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 9th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 7:45 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
That you, Joe?
Yeah. You're in early, aren't you?
Yeah, I couldn't sleep last night. Dropped off about 3 this morning, then woke up at 5, couldn't get back to sleep. I got up, made some coffee, and decided to come on in the office.
Yeah, I had a little trouble last night, too.
You did?
I mean, yeah.
What's your trouble?
I don't know. I got up late yesterday morning. I guess that was it. I'll get it.
All right.
Homicide Friday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. Johnny. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When'd you get the letter? Yeah, we'll be right over. Right. Bye. You remember that bartender over in that place on 6th Street, fellow named Johnny?
Yeah, is that him on the phone?
Yeah, says he's got an offer to make himself a fast $5,000.
What for?
Somebody wants him to kill a man. 8:10 a.m. Frank and I drove over to John Bronson's apartment. He lived in a new development on Wilshire Boulevard. We checked the nameplates in the lobby of the building, and then we went up to apartment 6B. We rang the bell and waited.
Hiya, Joe, Frank. Come on in.
All right, John.
Let's say, John.
Kind of early to get you guys over here, but I got worried about it and figured I better talk to you.
Uh-huh. You want to tell us what it's all about?
Yeah, come on out in the kitchen. I got some coffee made.
Okay.
Yeah, sit down there. I'll pour you a cup of coffee.
Fine.
Good, thanks.
Well, it started last night. I guess it was about 10:15. Payphone in the bar rang, kept ringing. I went over to answer it. Fellow on the other end asked for Johnny.
Yeah?
Told him it was me, and he hit me with a deal. First, I thought he was kidding.
What'd he say?
Well, he asked me if I wanted to make a fast $5,000. Of course, I told him, yeah. Then he sprung the snapper, said he wanted me to kill this guy, a fellow named Wilhelm Ulrich.
You know this Ulrich?
No, never laid eyes on him. First time I even heard the name.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Well, this guy on the phone started to lay it out. Told me how he wanted it done. Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
I asked the joker who he was. He said it didn't matter. All that counted, he said, was that I knock off this Ulrich guy.
Yeah.
I told him I didn't know who the man was, that I didn't know where to get in touch with him to kill him. You know, kind of going along with the gag all this time, thought it was a joke.
Uh-huh.
Well, this fellow on the phone said he'd give me all the dope I had to have, said I'd get it in the mail this morning.
Yeah.
Came special delivery just before I called you, special.
Uh-huh. You got the letter, have you?
Yeah, I got it in the other room. I'll get it for you.
All right, I'll go with you. John, how much have you handled the letter?
Well, I opened it up. I didn't know what was in it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd have known what it was, I wouldn't have touched it at all, but I didn't know. I looked at it when I found out what was in it and figured I better call you. Couldn't see any way to tell who sent it. Maybe you can when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw what it was, I didn't touch it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see here. Money.
Yeah, 5 $100 bills.
And what's the letter say?
Just a minute. Just by the edge here. I don't want to... It says, Johnny, here's the down payment. You'll get the rest when you finish the job. And the name is Wilhelm Ulrich. The address is 2192 Vine Street, Hollywood. It's written on the typewriter. No signature. That's it.
Let me see it, will you?
Oh, you can see it here.
First off, I thought the whole thing was a joke. I didn't believe it. You know, I just thought it was some drunk trying to be funny. We get calls like that all the time, guys trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And when I got this letter, I got scared. I ain't gonna kill nobody. Especially somebody I don't even know, not for no 5,000.
Did you recognize the voice on the phone, John?
No, I don't think I ever heard it before.
You got any idea why he'd call you?
No, I've been clean. I haven't got a record. Nothing like that. I run a clean place. Never done anything that could tie me up with the rackets.
Yeah, we know.
Well, maybe I ran a little booze during Prohibition. Not much, just a little. Everybody was doing it then, but I'm clean now.
Joe, there's a postmark here on the letter. It's mailed in Hollywood.
Yeah, I saw that. We can check the postal authorities on the mailbox number, find out when it was picked up, huh?
Yeah. Time on it here is 11. Looks like 11:45 last night. That's the time.
Uh-huh. You sure that you don't know Ulrich, John? Possible that he's been in your bar sometime, maybe, huh?
Well, that'll be hard to say. We do a good business. Lots of people come in I don't know. You know, just come in once in a while. I wouldn't know who they were. They keep quiet, and I ain't getting nosy.
Yeah. Well, we're going on back to the office. You'll probably hear from the caller again, Johnny, and as soon as you do, you let us know, will you?
You gonna see this Ulrich fellow?
Yeah, we'll talk to him. Might be better if you don't say anything about this to anybody, John.
Oh, don't worry. I won't.
Okay, we'll be talking to you later. You be at the bar?
Yeah, I'll be there at 4.
Okay, thanks a million.
No strain. Glad to do it. Can't get over it, that guy calling and making an offer like that. I just can't get over it. He should know better than that.
Yeah?
Sure, you ought to know. Somebody ain't gonna kill somebody they don't even know.
We drove back to the city hall and turned the letter over to the crime lab to see if they could find any physical evidence to help us identify the writer. We ran the name Wilhelm Ulrich through R&I, and we found no record. A further check on the name, and we came up with one possibility. The address listed on the report was the same as the one given in the letter. We pulled the package and checked it.
Let's take a look at it.
All right. Well, let's see. There's a crime report and a statement here. Report from Georgia Street Receiving Hospital.
Now, what's the date on that?
January 2nd last year. Yeah. Well, it seems this Ulrich got a hold of some poison wine.
Why?
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah?
You remember Joe? He was an old guy. He was a German. He got a bottle of wine for Christmas and opened it New Year's Day. We worked that case with LaMonica and Galindo.
Oh, sure, I remember now, yeah. We ran down some of the leads for him. They didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That was the one where he didn't know where the wine came from, isn't it?
Yeah. Nothing came from it. The leads didn't go anyplace.
As I remember, he's a nice old guy. I wonder why somebody's after him.
I don't know. Last time we couldn't find anybody with a motive.
Well, there's one someplace. We'd helped investigate an attempted poisoning of Wilhelm Ulrich over a year ago. Somebody'd sent him a bottle of imported wine. Ulrich had opened the wine for dinner on New Year's and had drunk some of it. A short time later, he was seized with violent stomach cramps. He was rushed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital for treatment. He was then transferred to the county hospital for further treatment. Examination of the remaining wine showed that it had been dosed with a quantity of poison. Fortunately, Ulrich didn't drink much of the poisoned wine, and he recovered. Detectives Joe LaMonica and Danny Galindo had handled most of the investigation. We'd helped them briefly in checking out some of the leads that they'd gotten. We checked with them again on the case. From the crime report, we got a list of the people that the two officers had interviewed. We checked with them, and they gave us as much personal information as they could. 1:15 p.m. We drove out to see Wilhelm Ulrich. We found him in the yard digging in a rose bed.
No, I can't understand it. I never quite believed that about the wine, sir.
Well, why do you say that, Ulrich?
Well, I found it hard to believe in my heart that anyone would want to do me harm. I have no enemies. No one that hates me enough to want to kill me, I'm sure of that.
Well, I'm afraid you could be wrong about that, Ulrich.
The officer said that before. Somehow, though, I just can't believe it. I've nothing anyone would want to kill me for. All of the people I know are my friends. We all get along.
Yes, sir.
Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful rose? Such loveliness.
Mm-hmm.
No? I'm sorry, officers. You're mistaken about this.
I wonder if we could talk to you in the house, sir.
Yes, that might be better. I could make you a cup of hot tea if you'd like.
No, sir, thanks, just the same.
Have you officers had lunch yet?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Oh, thought maybe you'd like a sandwich. Just got some liverwursts from a little place downtown. German, excellent food.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll get the door. Just sit down any place. I have to get the dirt off my shoes. Martha would be very angry if I tracked dirt around.
Marta, that's your daughter, isn't it?
Yes. She comes over every couple of days and straightens up the house for me. Wonderful girl, Martha. I don't know what I'd do without her.
Yes, sir. Now, there's a couple of things we'd like to ask you.
Certainly. Anything I can do to help.
Well, we'd like to go over the information on the report here.
Is that from the last time? The time of the wine?
Yes, sir, that's right.
All right. You just ask anything you want. I've got nothing to hide.
All right, sir. We checked the crime report you filled out last year. Now, has anything changed in your family since then?
No. You gentlemen still working on that?
Well, yes, sir. We have another matter to discuss here.
Oh, there's one thing that has changed.
What's that, sir?
The part here about me running the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's changed. I still run it in a way. I still supervise it, but Robert, he actually runs it.
Oh, Robert. You mean this name here, Robert Davis?
Yes, he's my son-in-law, Marta's husband. He takes care of the business now. He's a good boy. Marta's lucky to have him.
How long has your son-in-law been running the business, Mr. Ulrich?
Well, let me see. It's been about 8, 9 months. He took over right after I got out of the hospital. He's done wonders with it, wonders.
How's that, sir?
Modernized it, changed it all around. Had one of those efficiency experts come in and study the people. Time and motion men, I think they call them.
Mm-hmm.
They come in with a stopwatch and look at the people doing the work and figure out how long it should take them to do a certain job, and then they plan how the job can be done faster and cheaper. Wonderful thing, big changes.
Yes, sir. I don't want you to take offense at this, Ulrich, but how are the relations between you and your son-in-law?
I don't think I understand.
Well, you get along. Do you have any quarrels, disagreements?
Oh, no, Robert and I never disagree. I found out that it didn't pay to argue with him.
Sir?
I found out that it didn't pay. He was always right.
Uh-huh.
Yes, you see, we had a few arguments when he took over the business about this time and motion study thing.
I see. You want to tell us about these arguments?
They weren't anything serious. I didn't think that it was a good idea to change. I couldn't see any reason for it. Everything was going good. The business was making money. Everybody seemed to be happy. I didn't want to take a chance disturbing a good thing. You know, the golden goose.
Mm-hmm. You want to go ahead, please?
Well, Robert said that we were behind the times, that if we didn't do something about it, we wouldn't be able to compete with other people. We manufacture women's dresses, you know.
Yes, sir, I saw that on the report.
I finally told him to go ahead. I thought that he'd fail. He didn't. Now we compete. More dresses, more money. The employees are happy. They have music, coffee times. They like it. But it's all changed. I don't go down there anymore. I don't care much for it. It's changed. So I just stay home and work in the garden. It's Robert's factory now.
Uh-huh. You and Robert haven't had any other disagreements, have you?
Oh, no. He's a fine young man, running the business very well. He's a good boy. I'm lucky to have him.
Well, how about your competitors, Mr. Ulrich? How do they feel about this change in the way you operate your business? They resent it?
Oh, no, I haven't really got any competitors. The big manufacturers don't care. I don't make enough dresses to bother them, and the other little men are in the same boat with me. They're too busy running the factories to worry about me.
Mm-hmm. Now, can you think of anybody who might want to do a thing like this? How about that phone call?
I told you before, I can't. I find it very hard to believe.
Well, we'll have to talk to the people that you know, the people around you. We'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anybody what we were after.
If you want it that way, it's so hard to believe. I still think you're wrong. Looks like it's going to rain. Be good for the flowers. It's been dry up in the valley. Farmers need the rain.
Yes, sir. Now, you'll go along with us on this thing, will you? Not tell anybody about it?
Sure, I'll help. It's all right if I tell my daughter and son-in-law about it, isn't it?
Well, it'd be better if you didn't say anything to him or your daughter, not to anybody.
But they're going to see you here. They're going to ask questions. They're not stupid.
Yes, sir. You could tell them that we were asking about somebody that you employ. How'll that be?
What do I say if Robert asks what's about? I have no secrets from him.
Well, tell him we ask you not to tell anybody about it. Tell him it's police business. Happens all the time.
I suppose I could do that, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's lying.
Yes, sir, that may be true, but it's the best way.
Oh, I guess it's a small lie. I can tell myself that. It's a small lie.
Now, we'll have some policemen come out and watch Mr. Ulrich until we find the person who's doing this.
Do you have to do that?
Yes, sir, I'm afraid so.
Well, no, I don't like that at all. Even worse than the lying. No, I don't like it at all.
Mr. Ulrich, I wonder if you really understand that when we ask you not to tell anybody about this, when we want to keep you under surveillance, it's just for your protection.
But if what you say is true, if somebody really does want to kill me, if somebody hates me that much...
Yes, sir?
Can you stop them?
We called the office and had a team of men sent out to keep Wilhelm Ulrich under surveillance. His house and his person were to be watched 24 hours a day until we apprehended the person or persons who wanted him killed. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking to the people in the neighborhood. From all of them, we got the same story. Ulrich was liked and respected through the area. All of the local shopkeepers and their business associates told us that he paid cash for everything he bought and that his credit was good. He was active in the local flower club and had twice in the past served as president of the organization. The neighbors confirmed what Ulrich had told us about his family. His son-in-law and his daughter seemed to be devoted to the elderly man and were constantly trying to get him to sell the house he lived in and come to live with them. 6:42 p.m. We returned to the office.
Man, it's really coming down, huh?
Yeah, it sure is.
You got a raincoat in your locker?
Yeah, I got one of those plastic kind in the bag.
Oh, yeah, I want to get me one of them. I'll get mine. We go over and check the son-in-law. You got his address?
Yeah, it's a place out on Ivar.
Sure was a nice old man, huh?
Yeah, he seems to be. So you want to grab my coat? I'll get the phone.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Thank you. Homicide Friday. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, John. When? Yeah. No, we'll be right over. Right away. You bet. Frank.
Yeah?
Call from the bartender, Johnny.
Yeah?
Says he just got another phone call. Person told him that he'd gotten the down payment for the job and he wanted to know why Ulrich hadn't been killed.
Yeah.
Guy said if Johnny didn't get on it, the money wouldn't do him any good. Told him to make up his own mind.
Uh-huh.
Either he makes good on the job or they'll kill him.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
7:10 p.m. We got to the bar on 6th Street. There were only a couple of people in the place. The bartender, Johnny, told us of the phone call that he'd received. He said that the person on the phone had told him that if he didn't hurry up and kill Ulrich, Johnny himself would be taken care of. We called Lee Jones at the crime lab to ask him if he'd been able to come up with anything on the letter. He told us that there was no way of tracing it. Fingerprints found on the letter were those of the bartender. Photographs were taken of the letter, and along with the money, it was booked for further evidence. We'd gotten in touch with the postal authorities, and they said that they'd give us assistance. They gave us the location of the box where the letter had been mailed, and they said they'd try to find out who sent it. We arranged for a stakeout on the bar, and then we called the men at Ulrich's home. They told us that the son-in-law, Davis, and Ulrich's daughter had been there, but that no one else had seen or spoken to the elderly man. 9:32 p.m., Frank and I drove out to check on Robert Davis. We got to the apartment house and rang the bell to the manager's room.
Yes?
Miss Franklin?
Yes, what is it?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you if we could.
Oh, well, I suppose it's all right. Come on in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
What is it you wanted to see me about?
Oh, we'd like to talk to you about one of your tenants, please.
Oh? Which one? I bet I can guess.
Ma'am?
It's about that couple on the 5th floor, isn't it? The Radcliffes. It's them, isn't it?
No, ma'am, it isn't. We'd like to talk to you about a Robert Davis and his wife.
The Davises?
Yes, ma'am.
Why, Never thought it. Should be the Radcliffes, the way they carry on. The Davises. I'd never have thought it. What do you want to know about them?
Well, it's just a routine investigation, ma'am. Can you tell us how long they lived here?
Well, see now. It's been almost 6 years they've been in the building, Yeah, 6 years, anyway. I haven't always lived in the same apartment, though.
Ma'am?
When they moved in, they was in a little apartment on the 2nd floor, living room, a pull-down bed, little bitty place. And then they moved up to the 6th floor, 2-bedroom, nice place. Nice people. The Davises, oh, I'd never have thought it.
Do they have any close friends in the building, would you know?
Well, not Mr. Davies. He's kind of the quiet type. Never has much to do with anybody. He keeps to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mrs. Davis, that's a different thing. She's a living doll. She's nice to everybody and so sweet. Never had a harsh word for anybody. Always a smile. I think Mr. Davis thinks he's too good for anybody. He always seemed kind of snooty.
Yes, ma'am. Do you ever have any arguments with anybody in the building that you might know of?
Well, he's had a few arguments like everybody else does. Like I said before, he thinks he's too good for anybody. He thinks he's better than anybody. He's got no right to either.
Ma'am?
Why, he owes half the people in the neighborhood money. Way behind his bills. Owes me a couple of months' rent. Never seems to be able to pay anybody he owes. I talked to the milkman, owes him for a month back. Every time he asks for his money, Davis tells him to come back and stop hounding him. Can't understand it. Seemed like such nice people when they moved in. 2 years ago, that's when the trouble started.
Uh-huh. It was our understanding that he had a pretty good job. Is that
And
right?
he has. Works for his father-in-law, manages some kind of a factory. Dresses, I think. Oh, but that isn't it. He makes enough money. He just spends it faster than he makes it, that's all. I think he gambles.
Why do you say that, ma'am?
Oh, he's always going off on some kind of business trip. At least that's what he says it is, but I know different.
Yes, how's that, ma'am?
Well, he come back from one of those business trips once. Cab pulled up, and it just happened that I was standing out in front. A driver got out and gave him the bill for the cab, all the way from the airport. Almost $6. Well, anyway, when Mr. Davis got the money out of his pocket to pay the cab bill, a chip fell on the sidewalk. He didn't think that I saw it, but I did. The cab driver did, too.
Well, what kind of a chip was it, ma'am?
Well, you understand I'm not a gambling woman, so I wouldn't know. But the cab driver, he knew. Oh, you just betcha he knew right away. He picked up the chip and handed it back to Mr. Davis and said something about being in Las Vegas, kind of kidding, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I've seen Mr. Davis get upset, but never like that. He grabbed the chip away from the cab driver and told him to mind his own business. Said that he'd had the chip a long time, that it didn't concern the cab driver. He was real mean.
Uh-huh.
And then at night, well, the argument that he and the missus had, I never in all my days heard anything like that.
Well, what happened, ma'am?
Well, you understand that I just happened to be in the hall. I was making sure that the lights on the floor were all on. Those bulbs are always burning out, and I was checking them, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, anyways, I hear this argument coming from the Davises' apartment. Mrs. Davis is telling how she isn't going to stand for it anymore. Mr. Davis better settle down and get to work and stop this foolishness. She didn't come right out and say what foolishness, but I could tell. I could tell. It was his gambling, that's what it was.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anything else that you could think of that you could tell us about the Davises?
No, I don't think so. I'm kind of surprised, though. I don't like him, but I never thought that he'd have the police after him.
Well, we're just conducting a routine investigation, Miss Franklin.
Oh, now, you don't have to play cagey with me. I know about you, policeman. You and your routine investigations. You ain't fooling me. You want him for something. Now, what is it? Can you tell me?
Ma'am, it's just police business, just routine. We'd appreciate it if you didn't say anything to anybody about us being here.
Oh, sure, I'll go along with you. I won't tell a soul, not a living soul.
Thank you very much, Miss Franklin. I'm going to leave you our card. We'd appreciate it if you give us a call if anything comes up.
Uh-huh. Michigan 5211, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. You just ask for the homicide division. It's written down
All
there.
right,
See?
you just bet I will. Now, I'd be glad to help. I'm just glad to.
All right, fine.
One thing, though.
Yes, ma'am?
Are you sure there ain't nothing that you want those people on the 5th floor for, the Radcliffes?
From the manager's office, we called the Ulrich home. We talked to Mr. Ulrich. He told us about the visit that afternoon from the Davises. He said that he hadn't told Robert Davis anything about the threats on his life. We went upstairs and talked to Davis. We told him that we had a serious matter to discuss with him, and we asked him to accompany us down to the city hall.
I don't know what you're talking about. I told the police everything I know about this a year ago. I don't know anything about it. Wish I could help, but I can't. You know, this has got me worried.
Well, if you haven't done anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about.
I haven't done anything wrong.
In here.
Go ahead.
All right. Now tell me what this is all about.
Frank?
Yeah.
You want to check the office, see if we got any answers to the calls this afternoon?
Right.
You got a cigarette?
Yeah. Help yourself.
Well, let's get to it, huh? I gotta get home, get some sleep. I got a rough day tomorrow.
This won't take very long. How do you get along with your father-in-law?
All right, why?
Like to know?
Well, I don't see how that concerns you, but you ask, so I'll tell you. We get along fine, me and the old man. We get along just great. Does that make you happy?
That's not the point. Anything?
No, nothing new.
You go over to Las Vegas much, Davis?
Not much. Why?
How often would you say you went over there?
Maybe a couple times a year, not any more than that.
When was the last time?
What's so important about when I was in Vegas last? You guys spent a little more time finding out who's trying to kill my father-in-law, less time asking questions that don't make any sense. You'd be doing a better job.
What can you tell us about somebody trying to kill your father-in-law?
All I know is what he told me this afternoon.
What did he tell you?
Not much. Said something about a bartender, something about a phone call.
Did he tell you who the bartender was?
No, just that it was someplace over on 6th.
All right, Davis, come off it, huh?
What do you mean, come off it?
You want to tell us why you did it, or do you want us to tell you?
Did what? I got nothing to tell you. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
We talked to your father-in-law this morning. We told him that we'd gotten a report that his life had been threatened. We didn't tell him how it happened. We didn't tell him where our information came from, so he didn't know.
All right, so maybe I got it someplace else.
Oh, wait a minute. You couldn't have. We didn't talk to anybody else.
Well, I heard it someplace. I don't remember, but I heard it.
We checked around, found out you gamble quite a lot. You're a steady loser. You owe a lot of money in town, don't you?
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Now, I think we can make you for the threat on Ulrich's life. I don't think we'll have any trouble at all. You had the motive, you had the opportunity. First thing in the morning, we'll check with the factory. We'll see if you made a withdrawal of $500. We make that, and you got big trouble.
You figure you're going to be able to do that?
We think so, yeah. We'll get your father-in-law down here and ask him what he told you this afternoon. Find out if he did tell you about that bartender, about the bar on 6th, about the phone call. You know, it doesn't look like there's going to be too much trouble making you for this.
Save your time.
What do you mean?
You don't have to go through that trash. I did it. I tried to have the old man knocked off.
Were you the one who sent him the wine last year?
Yeah. That's when it started. I started to gamble. Lost a lot of money. Couldn't pay it back. No way to pay it back. Guys I owed the money to were leaning on me. I had to pay them off. Had to.
Yeah.
I could only think of one way, get rid of the old man.
Didn't you get a pretty good salary out of working for him?
Yeah, pretty good, but it didn't go far, not far enough. I tried to win it back, make good on the losses I had. I couldn't do it. The more I gambled, the worse it got. I just couldn't do it. Wasn't any other way. No other way. I decided to kill the old man. It's the only way. Can't you see that? It's the only way I could get clear.
Yeah.
I figured if I could get rid of the old man, I'd have everything fixed. Everything would be okay. Guess it worked out all right anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, there's nothing in the book they can throw at me. He's still alive. I didn't kill him. Who got hurt?
You did.
Well, how do you figure? I didn't kill him.
You're going to jail for trying.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 18th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. Robert Walter Davis was tried and convicted of attempted homicide. He received sentence as prescribed by law. Attempted homicide is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 20 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto theft detail. A well-organized ring of car thieves begins operations in your city. It's one of the most puzzling cases you've ever encountered. Your job? Break it.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, May 11th. It was fair in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Stilson. My name's Friday. It was 8:35 a.m. when I got to room 40, Auto Theft Division. Captain's office.
Morning, Friday.
Morning.
Hi, Joe.
Ben?
Want to sit down?
Thank you.
I was just telling Romero here. I'm briefing all the men in the bureau on this thing. That's the reason I called you two in.
Yeah?
I got some figures here I want to go over with you.
All right.
As you know, the percentage of all auto theft recoveries is 96 to 98% on the average. That's normally.
Yeah?
In checking the monthly averages the past 4 months, that percentage has dropped to the low 80s.
Quite a drop.
Corner Pocket thinks so, too. They want some action on it.
Well, we've been working on it.
Absolutely no pattern to the thefts. Time, location, the method. Makes it impossible to stake out on it.
Yeah, those are some of the reasons our percentage is taking such a dive. I know the problems. We all do, but we got to break this thing soon.
Well, it figures we're dealing with a well-organized bunch. They know what they're doing.
In cross-checking all the reports, it seems to boil down to this in general. It appears that all the outstanding thefts are GM cars. Cads, Pontiacs, Chevys, Oldsmobiles. All late models, all seem to be in good condition, low-mileage cars.
Well, in addition to the regular broadcasts and teletypes, we got out a special bulletin on this, didn't we?
That's right. All the thefts were listed, license, make, model, and color. Been sent to all major cities and border patrol stations. Nothing so far.
I was checking through the salvage reports. Salvage buy. Do you have the last 2 months' escape March and April?
Yeah, right here. I noticed the same thing. That outfit down on San Pedro Street.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, yeah. This is a composite on the reports for the past 2 months.
That's right.
This one here. Herman Salvage, 2716 West San Pedro. They seem to deal a little heavy on General Motors cars, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I've been watching the buys on this place for the past few weeks now. I wanted to make sure it wasn't coincidence.
Well, looks like a good place to run down anyway.
You two want to check it out?
All right, fine. 2716 West San Pedro.
That's it. Outfit appears to be okay. Never been out of line.
Seems funny they should deal with the top avian GM cars, doesn't it?
Right when our recovery percentage takes a dive, yeah.
Do you have the last salvage report there, Captain?
Yeah.
The last one?
Here you are.
Thank you. Yeah. Here's one for Herman's, 1949 Cadillac. And a little further down, Herman's again, 47 Olds. Yeah. There's 5 GM buys on the list. Herman got 4 out of 5 of them.
Let's find out why.
From the time an automobile is first manufactured and sold, a constant and complete record is maintained on that automobile. His certificate of ownership, the pink slip in the state of California. His certificate of registration, the white slip. These 2 slips of paper contain the information necessary for the positive identification of your car. A fact that every motorist knows. Now, there are many agencies that work for the protection and security of your automobile. One of these is the National Auto Theft Bureau, a kind of nationwide clearinghouse. Acting upon information supplied by the various insurance companies and other allied agencies, this bureau forwards all facts and figures concerning the disposition of motor vehicles on a nationwide basis. Reports are made available to all law enforcement agencies. One of the pieces of information put out by the National Auto Theft Bureau is the salvage report, listing all sales and purchases of automobiles that, for one reason or another, may have been relegated to the junkyard or to the salvage company, a fact that many motorists may not know. 9:14 a.m., Ben and I checked through the police commission and found that the owner of Herman Salvage was a Herman Lester. He had been in business at the same location for 6 years and appeared to be a reputable businessman. We drove down to 2716 West San Pedro to check it out. It was an average-looking garage with a connecting salvage yard filled with several hundred smashed-up cars of all makes and models. It was 9:32 a.m. when we walked into the garage.
There's a fellow there in a white shirt.
Yeah, I see him.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Yes, sir. Police officers. Auto theft detail?
Oh, yes. Don't believe I know you fellas. My name's Lester.
This is Sergeant Friday. My name's Romero.
How you do?
How are you? Are you the owner here?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, whatever happened to Mac and Donovan? Used to drop in once, twice a month. I haven't seen them for 2-3 weeks now.
Well, they're a little busy on a special assignment.
Oh, I see.
All right, if we look around here?
Oh, you bet. Make yourselves right at home. Anything special?
No, just looking.
Okay.
Notice you've been pretty busy, huh?
Yeah, had a pretty good month. Salvage racket's going to get sour again, looks like, with the Korean War and all the cutbacks.
Doesn't seem to have hit you so far.
Well, no, not so far. Looks like it may tighten up any time.
I noticed from our salvage report you've been doing a big business in GM merchandise.
Yeah, we have. You know, they're starting to build tanks back there now. We wanted to make sure we wouldn't run short on parts.
You get a lot of call for GM parts, do you?
Oh, yeah, we sure do. Everybody in town knows if they need something for a Caddy or a Buick or any of those cars, this is the place to come. We kind of built up a reputation specializing in GM used parts.
I see.
Mind if we check your last few buys?
Fine.
You have 49 Cadillac, 47 Olds, Pontiac 48, 1949 Chevrolet. Wonder if we might see those.
Yes, sir. Right out in the yard. Back this way. All 4 of them are really bent up. Bad shape. Just breaks your heart to see beautiful merchandise like that all smashed up. I don't know what people are thinking of the way they drive.
Yeah.
And you take a new Caddy, one of those new convertibles, really beautiful merchandise. Somebody takes one out, rolls it, we pick it up and tow it down here. Beautiful car like that all rolled up in a ball.
Georgia Street Receiving Hospital probably picked up the rear.
Yeah, it was really a shame. Well, here we go. There's a Caddy.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. The Olds and the Pontiac are in that row there. You see them?
Yeah,
And that Chevrolet, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. 1949.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There she is over there. Third car down. Maroon. See it?
Maroon one, yeah. Down there.
Yeah. Looks like a graveyard, doesn't it?
Sure does. What do you do with all these cars? Strip them down for parts?
Well, at least the 4 you're checking now, yeah. They're all total wrecks. Nothing much can be done with them except for parts.
Mm-hmm. How about that Cadillac down there, the sedan?
Huh?
That one over there. Can't you fix that one up? That doesn't look beyond repair from here.
Oh, step around the other side here. You can't see from where you're standing. Here. Yeah, the right side's all stove in. By the time you figure replacing those side panels and fenders, trim, we couldn't come out on it.
Yeah, I see now. Well, I don't know too much about it, but it looked good from over there.
Yeah, that's what we get all the time. People want us to pay top prices for stuff we can't get our money out of. If we could repair them, fix them up, and resell them as a complete automobile, there'd be a lot of money in this business.
You do that with some of them, don't you?
Oh, very few of them, I'll tell you. That's what we look for, but we don't always get lucky.
Mm-hmm, I see.
Say, how'd you boys like to see some really beautiful merchandise?
What's that?
Well, come on back in the shop.
All right.
Kind of a hobby of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what keeps us busy. Plates and pink slips on their way up to Sacramento for cancellation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, over this way. Here we are. Take a look at this baby.
Yeah. Hot rod, huh?
No, not exactly. We don't go in for that kid stuff racing around town.
Well, sure looks like one.
Yeah, but it's a little better than most of the kids can throw together.
What'll it do?
We clocked her up at Muroc at 112 last weekend. You know, they've been coming in here from all over town to see this car?
That's so.
Yeah. You ever get up to Muroc Dry Lake?
No, I never do, but that's the place for it. Running around town on those things can cause a lot of accidents.
Those drag races the kids have? Yeah. We don't go in for that stuff. This is strictly scientific as far as I'm concerned. I like to build them up, see what we can make them do.
Cost a lot of money, don't they?
Got $5,400 in this one right now. I'm putting more into it. Mallory ignition, milled heads, twin Wakefields. Here, let me start it up for you.
Okay.
120 horses under there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Listen to that. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of power here. You're in. You ought to see it up at the lake. You really go.
Yeah, I'll bet.
This all made up out of salvage cars?
Every bit of it. buy a few things new, but most of it's right out of wrecks like those outside there.
Takes a lot of talent to build up something like this from scrap, doesn't it?
No, not really. After you've been at it as long as I have, it's not too tough. The trick is to get more speed out of them than anyone else can.
Yeah, you did a good job on this car, all right?
Oh, if you put your mind to it, you can do a lot with a wrecked car.
Before we left Herman's Salvage, we checked all 4 of the GM cars that were listed on the salvage report. We made a careful check on all of the cars in the yard and in the garage, paying special attention to the few cars that were in the process of being rebuilt by Herman Lester's mechanics. We went over his records, carefully checking the disposition of all of his buys for the past several months. Everything was in perfect order. We found that in the past 3 weeks, Lester had taken in 10 cars. 8 of them had been stripped down for parts, and 2 of them had been rebuilt and resold. The investigation showed that 4 of those cars were GM cars, and the 2 that were resold were both General Motors. 11:28 a.m. Ben and I drove back to the office and asked Mac and Donovan if they'd check through the 2 resale cars to make sure everything was in order, as the reports indicated. We checked through on the remaining 8 cars that were listed by Herman Lester as broken down for parts. According to DMV, all plates and pink slips had been returned to them for cancellation. 11:50 a.m.
Well, that's it, Joe.
Yeah?
8 of the cars check out. 2 of those were GM.
Yeah, well, that leaves just the 2 that Mac and Donovan are checking, huh?
I don't know. Everything down there looked all right. It's a cinch Lester wasn't holding back anything, as far as I could tell. It's cooperative. Everything in order.
If those 2 that Mac and Donovan are working on check out.
I'd say, well. Seems to me Lester told us everything. Everything we asked him, anyway. I don't think he held back.
If he did, I got an idea we might be able to tell us somebody's been left out in the cold here.
What are you getting at?
Well, now, if Herman's been able to buy up all those GM cars, what have the other salvage dealers been doing about it?
That's a thought.
Let's check his competition. 12:40 p.m. We drove back down to West San Pedro Street. We picked out a group of salvage companies in the immediate neighborhood close to Herman's. 3209 West San Pedro, John's Wrecking Yard. We introduced ourselves and started to talk with the owner, a John Bacon. A routine check was made of his establishment, and as far as we could tell, everything appeared to be okay.
And that's all you made, huh? Just that one buy?
That's it. 1946 Ford. We're dying a slow death.
Business pretty bad, huh?
Never seen it worse. At least as far as we're concerned.
How do you account for that, Mr. Bacon?
Oh, everything, I guess. Business bad all over at the moment. Scrap metal situation's in a state of flux at the present time.
In looking around, Mr. Bacon, we noticed you don't have much in the way of General Motors stuff. Is that because of GM going into war production? Any cutback would eventually affect you fellas, wouldn't it?
No, not at all. Cutback would, sure, but there's no tremendous curtailment right at the present time. They're still turning out a lot of automobiles back there.
Well, then what's your problem?
We're being outbid, right up and down the line by the same outfit.
Who's that, sir?
A company by the name of Herman's Salvage, just up the street there. Go out to buy a piece of merchandise, their boys just won't let us get near it.
They pay more than you do, huh?
More than we can, Sergeant. I honestly don't see how they're coming out on some of their deals.
It's that much out of line, huh?
Certainly is. You know, whenever there's anything available, all the salvage companies get their bid in. Well, Herman simply outbids all of us.
Yeah, it makes it kind of rough.
I'm not the only one. Pete Larkin up the street, old man Henry next door, all of us. I don't know what we can do about it. Herman seems to be doing all right, no matter what he pays for his cars.
Mm-hmm.
None of us can figure it out. Just judging from the number of cars he outbids us on and the number he rebuilds, I just can't see how he's coming out.
But he is, huh?
Figure he's laying odds on a big shortage. That's what all of us think.
He's laying in a stockpile. Is that the idea?
Sure. What else could it be?
We continued our check on all salvage dealers, both in the neighborhood of Herman Lester's place and throughout the city. It seemed to be a fact well known to most dealers that Herman was outbidding all of them on any and all GM automobiles. The only possible explanation was that he must be trying to lay in a large stockpile of this particular make of car. 3:35 p.m. We received word from Sergeants Mack and Donovan that they had checked out the 2 remaining cars listed in Herman's books, the resales. Ben was right. They checked out with no discrepancy. During the next 10 days, the investigation continued. The theft of late-model GM cars continued, with few recoveries. Suspects were arrested and questioned. We could find no connection that might lead us to an organized ring of car thieves that might be responsible for the lack of GM car recoveries. The salvage reports showed no change in Herman's buying technique. Apparently, he was still dealing heavy on the one particular make of car. Thursday, May 25th. We received a teletype from DMV listing all the salvage by transfers. In making our usual daily check of this teletype, we noticed a 1949 Cadillac, engine number 598-77415. It had been resold from salvage to a used car lot.
That's the place right up the block.
Yeah, I see.
Same cad we saw in Herman's salvage yard.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? The one in particular that I asked him about, you remember?
Yeah, I remember. You thought it could be fixed up. He said no.
It's only been a little over 2 weeks ago, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, still doesn't prove anything.
Here we are. Jake's. This is the place.
Yeah, there's a cad in the front line right down there, huh?
Mm-hmm. I don't see anyone around, do you?
No, I don't. Well, I guess it's all right to check the engine number anyway.
Yeah, I'll get the hood released.
Right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the engine's had a good steam cleaning. Let's see. 598-77415.
That's it. Herman sure did a nice job on it, didn't he?
Yeah. Almost looks too good, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Body serial doesn't match. Doesn't correspond with the engine model.
It's a 49 body. Could be a late 49, but it's a definite switch, isn't it?
It sure is. That's funny.
Yeah. Look at this right side here. This was the bad side, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Does it look like it's been rolled out to you?
No, there's no feathering, no orange peel. Either that's the best repaint job I've ever seen, or it's never been in an accident.
Yeah. I'll take a look underneath. Huh?
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Want to move your feet there?
Yeah, all right. Anything?
No, nothing. There's not a seam or a joint under there. No welding marks of any kind. This car's never been in a smash-up.
The engine number checks, the body doesn't.
And this is the one Herman couldn't fix up.
Yeah, that's what he said. Maybe he changed his mind.
Or he lied.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
1949 Cadillac, engine number 598-77415. In checking out this automobile, Ben and I had found that the engine number corresponded with the salvage report concerning Herman Lester's place. The one big item that did not jibe was the fact that the engine was now mounted in a different body than when the car left the factory, a fact that had to be accounted for in complete detail. When we had checked this automobile on the 11th of May at Herman's salvage yard, both engine and body numbers corresponded. In taking a close look at the car, it was obvious that the body had not been repaired in any way. It was clear that this particular car had not been in any kind of collision. We went back to the rear of the lot and asked one of the salesmen not to sell the car without informing us. When we got back to the office, we started rechecking all of the auto theft reports. We found 5 stolen Cadillacs, but all the body styles and models were different, with the exception of one, a 1949 Cadillac sedan, reported stolen on May 14th. It was registered in the name of William Brownell. We checked his home and found that he was at work. He was a superintendent for the North American van lines. We drove over and picked him up and took him to Jake's used car lot on Vermont Avenue.
This is the car, Mr. Brownell.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just like mine, but I don't think it's the one.
Are you sure?
For one thing, it's a different color. My car was maroon.
You want to step over here, Mr. Brownell?
Sure.
Now, if you'll look very closely here on the door edging and on the jamb, right here, see? This is the one place sometimes they miss with a spray gun if they're going to repaint.
Oh, yeah, there's a faint trace of red under the blue paint there.
Looks like it could be maroon, doesn't it?
Yeah, does it there?
This car's been repainted. It was maroon.
Well, mine didn't have these kind of seat covers. Let's see. Same kind of upholstery I had, though, underneath here. I don't know.
Mr. Brownell, there must be something other than the color and the upholstery that you'd know your own car by.
Never gave it much thought.
Well, there's usually some little identifying mark of some kind. I know that on my car, the lens on the right headlight got broken, and I had to replace it with one that didn't match.
Something like that, sir?
Let me see. Could I look inside there a minute?
Sure.
Right here under the speedometer, there was a thumbprint pressed in at the factory. It's pretty deep. No, it's not there now.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget that the car's been repainted. It might have been covered up.
No, this was clear down to the metal. Apparently, when they were installing the instruments at the factory, the panel wasn't dry yet. Not there now, and they couldn't have covered it up unless they made a special point of it.
Well, sometimes that's done. Car thieves are kind of clever.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I don't think this is my car. Don't think I don't wish it was, but it's not.
Can you think of just one other thing, maybe? Just one mark of identification is all we need.
No. Even these tires aren't mine. I had white sidewalls.
Well, could have been switched.
They were pretty new. Wait a minute. I think I remember something. No, there's no rip up there.
What's that, sir?
I just thought of something. The boys down at the office gave me a St. Christopher medal. You know, the large metal kind you're supposed to bolt to your dashboard?
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to put it on, so I carried it around with me in the car. There was a rip up there in the inner lining of the top, but you see there's no rip in this.
Let me see.
How about it, Ben?
Yeah. Yeah, I can feel it.
Does it feel like a metal?
Let me get my pocket knife on it.
Okay.
What do you think? They replaced the cloth up there?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is.
Mm-hmm. Is this it, Mr. Brownell?
That's it. Look, on the back there, my name's engraved on it, see?
Yes, sir.
Well, I sure didn't think this was my car. I never would have known it.
That's what the guys figured who stole it. The 1949 Cadillac was taken to the police garage, and a complete and thorough check was made. The car, with the exception of the engine, was positively identified as the property of William Brownell. This definitely implicated Herman Lester and showed his salvage operations to be illegitimate. He had obviously been buying one particular make of salvage automobile, outbidding all his competitors to do so. When he would buy a piece of wrecked equipment, an exact duplicate would be stolen to match it. He would then dispose of the engine from the stolen vehicle and replace it with a salvage engine. With this system of operation, Herman Salvage had been enjoying a lucrative business, which accounted for a great percentage of the stolen cars that we hadn't been able to recover. 7:25 p.m., May 25th. We drove out to pick up Herman Lester. His home address was listed as 8625 Wonderland Drive. It was up in the Laurel Canyon district, a heavily wooded section of Los Angeles.
Pretty nice place up in there.
Yeah, but you can see of it through the trees. Well, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Look at that, Joe.
Yeah.
Looks like a 50 O's. Everything there but the engine. No plates.
Mm-hmm. I didn't notice that from the street, did you?
Never could have seen it from down there.
Mm. Looks like a garage back up in there, doesn't it?
Perfect spot. Can't see any of this from the street with all those trees. Pretty fancy layout for a home garage. Good size.
Yeah. Somebody's working up in there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hi there. Brings you fellas way up here.
We want to have a little talk with you.
Oh, you bet. Come on in the house. Have a cold beer, huh?
No, this will be all right.
Joe, you got a hot sheet?
Yeah, right here.
Kind of caught me by surprise here, working out in the garage. Yeah, that figures, Lester. These plates are from a stolen car.
You sure?
That's right.
You remember a 49 Cadillac we looked at down at your place a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, not sure. 49 Cad?
That's right. Whatever became of that car?
Oh, now I remember. Yeah, I sold that car to Jake's over in Vermont. Thought you told us you couldn't fix it up. I don't remember. You sure you don't mean some other car now?
No, it's the same one. You know the one we mean. How about it?
How about what? That was a stolen car, Lester, and you know it. That's a stolen car out there in the yard, isn't it?
What's that hoist, Ben? There he goes, Joe. All right, Lester, hold it. Stop it, stop, Joe. All right, now, come on. Drop it, Lester. Drop the hammer. Go with me.
All right. I'll get the cuffs, Joe.
Come on, get up on your feet.
All right, come on. On your feet.
Stand still.
Rough one, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Lester. Let's go.
How'd you find out? Who tipped you off?
St. Christopher.
true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 82, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. Herman W. Lester was tried and convicted on 3 counts of grand theft auto and 2 counts of grand theft money, all sentences to run consecutively. Grand theft auto is punishable by imprisonment for a term of 1 to 5 years, grand theft money by a term of 1 to 10 years. The suspect was also filed on by federal authorities for violation of the Dyer Act. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. For the past 2 months, a gang of safe burglars have been operating in your city. In that time, they've hit a dozen places. You've got no lead to their identity. Your job, get them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. We were on the way back from lunch, and it was 1:17 p.m. when we got to room 45. Burglary.
Joe, you got any stomach pills?
No, I haven't. You got trouble again?
Yeah. I don't know why I always do when we have lunch at Sal's. Must be that cheesecake, Joe. It happens every time.
Well, maybe if you just stick to one piece, huh?
And the way Rosie makes it, you can't stop there. You know, that Sal could make a fortune if he'd realize it.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how in some places they have a little bowl of mints by the cash register?
Yeah.
Well, if Sal would put a bowl of stomach pills, he could clean up.
Yeah, sure.
Anything in the book?
I'll take a look.
How about it?
Yeah. There's a call here from Ernie.
Our informant?
Yeah. Says he wants to see us this afternoon.
Say what it's about?
No, he just has to meet him at that coffee place over on 7th.
Sure hope he can come up with something we could use it.
Yeah. Been taking a lot on this one, haven't we?
Yeah. The way the papers talk, you'd think we were in with the thieves.
Well, from where they sit, it probably looks that way. We sure haven't been able to stop them.
Yeah. You hear anything more on that last run from the stats office?
Yeah, nothing. They've run the MO over and over. We can't make it. I saw the skipper this morning. He's sore, too.
Yeah, figures they're leaning on him, too.
Well, there's got to be a break somewhere along the line. Their luck can't hold out forever.
Maybe they don't know that.
Did you check the FI cards from last night?
Yeah, they're doing it now. They might come up with something. How about Rubles and Toll? You heard from them yet?
No, they're running down that report from the liquor store owner. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere either.
I'll get it.
Right.
Burglary, Smith. Oh, yeah. Did you find anything? Uh-huh. Where was that? Uh-huh. How do you spell that last name? S-O-N? Right. Okay, thanks. Well, we might have something.
Yeah?
Officer made a field interrogation report on an Otto Bronson last night. Time was listed as 10:46 p.m., 4th and Central.
Well, that's close.
The last heist was at 7th and Central at approximately 11 p.m.
Well, how does Bronson fit in?
Well, they checked him out. He's got a record.
Yeah.
Burglary.
1:35 p.m. Frank and I checked the name Otto Bronson through R&I. We found that he had an arrest record dating back 10 years. He'd been picked up 3 times on suspicion of violation of Section 459 PC. He'd been convicted once and had served time at San Quentin. He'd been released 4 months before he served his full term and was not on parole. We got his last known address from his ex-convict registration, and we drove out to see him. The address listed was a rooming house on Alexandria Street. We talked to the landlady, but she could tell us nothing about him. She said that he'd moved in about 4 months before, and in that time she'd seen very little of him. He didn't eat at the house, but he took his meals outside. She was unable to tell us what time Bronson had come home the night before. It was registered in room 2B. Frank and I went up and knocked on the door.
Yeah? You Otto Bronson?
Yeah, what about it?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Might be better if we talked inside, huh?
Well, maybe I don't want any cops in my place.
Well, we can talk downtown.
Go on in. All right, what's it all about?
What if you could tell us where you were last night?
Why?
We'd like to know.
Let's see, I went downtown, had dinner, met some friends, had a few drinks, and came home.
What time did you get home?
Oh, maybe about 8, around in there.
We got word you were seen downtown at 10:46. How about it?
Maybe my watch stopped.
Were you downtown?
Oh, you guys know all the answers. You tell me.
All right, mister, get your head.
Why?
Let's go downtown.
All right. So I was there. What's that prove?
Why'd you lie about it?
I didn't lie. I told you. My watch stopped.
Yeah, according to the FI report, you were stopped on the corner of 4th and Central. Is that right?
I don't know. I guess so. Why?
What were you doing there?
I was on my way home.
From where?
Like I told you, I had a couple of drinks with some friends of mine and came right home.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you meet these friends of yours?
Bar down Central.
Which bar?
I don't know the address. I can show you if you gotta know.
Who were the friends?
Look, I don't like any of this. You guys coming here and asking all these questions? What's it all about?
The liquor store safe was burglarized near 7th and Central last night. You look good for the job.
Oh, it's sure true.
What's that?
Old saying up at the joint. Do a little time, and you'll have every cop in the world on your back at one time or another.
How long you lived here, Bronson?
Couple of months.
That's the closet over here.
You stay away from there. It isn't anything in there that matters to you.
Then you shouldn't mind if we take a look.
Now, just keep your hands off of my stuff, huh?
If you haven't done anything, you got nothing to worry about, have you?
It isn't what I've done. It's what you guys are going to say I did.
How about this, Bronson?
That's mine. Hey, now, look, you got no right to go...
See what's in it, Frank.
Yeah.
Now, how about this, Bronson?
I never saw this before in my life. It's a frame you guys are trying to tie onto me. Well, it won't work, cops, and you know it won't.
How do you explain it to him?
I don't have to. I belong to a friend. He asked me to take care of him.
How about this, Bronson?
Can't see, Joe. What is it?
Cutting torch. Looks like it's been used lately. 2:15 p.m. We searched the suspect's room. We found nothing further that would tie him in with the burglaries. We talked to the other people in the boarding house, but they couldn't give us any further information. They were unable to tell us if Bronson had any friends, and the landlady told us that he hadn't gotten any mail since he'd been there. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on the boarding house, and then we took the suspect downtown to the city hall. We talked to him for an hour. 4:16 p.m.
That's where you stand on this thing, Bronson. Now you make up your mind. You want to take the beef by yourself? You're going to tell us where you got the tools.
I've been telling you. I didn't know anything about the tools. I got them from a friend. He asked me to keep the suitcase for him as a favor. He asked me to keep them for him, and that's all I know.
Well, what's the friend's name?
Like I told you, it's a fellow named Shorty.
What's his last name?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd tell you. I got no reason to hold back on it. I didn't have nothing to do with the job.
Otto, we were talking to you about one burglary. What do you mean by job?
Well, just the way you guys talk, I figured there was more than one.
You know what we're talking about.
I don't. I'm telling you the truth. I don't.
When'd you last see this Shorty?
When he gave me the suitcase.
When was that?
A week, maybe 10 days ago.
Where'd you see him?
In a bar down on 7th.
And he just gave you this suitcase, asked you to take care of it for him? Is that what you expect us to believe?
It's the truth.
Well, that's kind of hard to
I
buy.
can't help that. That's the way it happened.
Well, your friend sure left you in a good fix, didn't he?
What do you mean?
Well, looks like you're going to have to go this route by yourself.
How do you figure that?
You got the tools, you got a record. You were in the vicinity just before the safe was burned. You look real good for it.
I ain't going to take it alone.
Well, you haven't got much choice.
Well, what happens if I help you get the rest of them?
It'll be marked down, I believe.
Is that all you can do?
That's all.
How much if I help you break the game?
That's all we can do.
Well, one thing you got to understand.
What's that?
I had nothing to do with the jobs myself. I just heard a few rumbles. You got to know I wasn't in on it.
What have you heard?
Well, there's 3 guys. They're from the east. They've been working out here about 6 weeks. Real heavy fellas.
Who are they?
I don't know him. The only one I ever saw was Shorty, and I'm not too sure he's in on it.
You know where we can pick them up?
No, like I said, I just heard a few rumbles.
All right, how about this, Shorty? Has he got a record?
I don't know. He might have.
You ever say anything about doing time?
No, not so I can hear.
How long you known him?
About 3 months. I met him right after I got out of queue.
Where'd you meet him?
A bar downtown. We got to talking one night, and after that, I'd see him around here and there. And I never got to know him real well.
Just well enough for him to give you a suitcase full of burglar tools, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
And you didn't know what was in the case?
No, I didn't look. I didn't figure it was any of my business.
That's easy to buy, isn't it?
Well, I can't help it. That's the way it is.
How much do you know about how the gang works?
Not much. Rumble is that they case a place for a couple of days, figure out when's the best time to hit it, and walk in and burn the safe.
They use a car?
I don't know. I guess they do.
Does Shorty have a car?
I don't know. I never saw him with one. He never mentioned it.
You ever mention where he lived?
No, not to me. I figure it's over on the east side, though.
How you figure that?
Oh, just the way he talked. Nothing definite, but just the idea.
You look at some mugs and tell us if you see this Shorty?
Well, sure. I'd like to see you get him, leaving me to stand for a thing like this all by myself.
Anything else you can tell us about the game?
No, that's about it.
Okay, let's look at the mugs.
Well, how about it? I still got to go to jail?
Well, you still haven't convinced us you're clean.
Well, I told you everything I know.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Look, I go nuts in a cell.
You should have thought of that before.
Well, I can give you guys a lot of help if I'm on the outside.
You haven't given us much here.
Well, maybe I can.
All right, go ahead.
I can tell you when they're going to pull the next job.
We continued to talk to Otto Bronson. He told us that he'd heard the gang was planning to rob the safe of a large chain grocery store in the southern part of the city. He gave us the date and the time that the operation was expected to take place, but he was unable to give us the exact details of how the burglary would be committed. The suspect couldn't tell us whether a car would be used or how the store would be approached. He was unable to give us a description of the other two men in the operation, but he did give us a description of Shorty. We ran the name through the moniker file in R&I. We got back 285 possibles and had the mugshots on the suspects pulled. These were shown to Bronson, but he failed to make an identification. We showed him our mug files on known burglary suspects, but he again failed to come up with an identification. The burglary tools were booked as evidence, and then Frank and I talked with Captain Wisdom. It was agreed that it might be better to release Bronson and have him followed. 8:31 p.m. The suspect was released and placed under constant surveillance. The date Bronson had given us for the next burglary was the following Saturday, August 14th. Frank and I made arrangements to place a stakeout on the store. We checked the store and found that there were two entrances, one off the parking lot to one side of the building and one on the street. We took up our position so that both doors could be seen. The area was placed under a Code 5 call so that the stakeout would not be burned. Frank and I waited. 10 p.m. 11. No sign of the burglars. Midnight came and went. At 5:30 a.m., the stakeout was called off, and Frank got to a phone.
Yeah. When was that? Yeah? Okay, we'll be right in.
Joe? Yeah, anything?
Yeah, they lost the tail on Bronson.
At approximately 10:30 Saturday night, Otto Bronson had gone into a theater on South Spring Street. The officer following had entered, but had lost the suspect in the darkness. The next morning, Sunday, August 15th, we got a report that Bronson had turned up at his rooming house at 7:45 a.m. I got a call from the business office with this information, and at 8:20 I picked up Frank and we drove over to see Bronson.
Who's that?
It's Friday.
Oh, just a minute. Hi. Come on in. Well, you guys are up early this morning. How'd it turn out last night?
What are you trying to pull, Bronson?
What do you mean?
You know what we're talking about. Nothing happened last night.
Hey, you mean they didn't break into the place?
That's it.
Can't understand that. From what I heard, they had it all cased.
Where were you last night?
Well, you figure I had something to do with it, huh?
We just asked you where you were.
Oh, what's the matter? Hey, the tail you had on me get lost?
We're waiting for an answer, Bronson.
I went to a movie and then came on home.
You came right home after the picture, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Right home.
How come it took you so long?
Now, what's that mean?
You didn't get home until this morning, did you?
You guys are pretty thorough, aren't you?
Where were you?
All right, I stopped and saw a friend. We got to drinking. Forgot all about time. That makes me a pigeon for you.
Come on, Bronson. Let's go down there.
What for? I haven't done anything.
You gave us wrong information about last night.
Well, that's not my fault. I'm not running with the guys. I told you what I heard. Now, it's not my beef that it didn't work out. From what I knew, that was the way it was going to be.
All right, let's go.
Well, now, just a minute. Look, we can work this out, huh?
I'm afraid not.
I leveled with you guys. I'm not giving you a snow job. That's the way it is. Now, look, you got nothing on me. If you had, you wouldn't have let me go before. Now that I think about it, I don't like the idea of the tail on me. What are you guys going to prove with that? The way you act, it's no wonder you get no cooperation from anybody. It's no wonder at all.
All right, now you've made your point. Let's go downtown.
Yeah, who is it?
Mr. Bronson, it's me, Kelly.
It's the landlord. Yeah, what is it?
Mr. Friday here?
Yeah, I'm Friday.
Phone call for you. You can get it here in the hall.
Thanks.
You got it here.
Thank you. This Friday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When? Right. We'll be right there. Thanks a lot. Frank?
Yeah?
It's the business office. We gotta leave.
Yeah?
You called it, Bronson. They worked last night, all right?
See, I told you.
Yeah, we staked out in South L.A.
So?
They hit in West L.A.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
A.m. Frank and I contacted the West Los Angeles detectives and drove out to the scene of the latest burglary. It was a large chain grocery store. The thieves had burned into the safe, and the M.O. was the same as in the other burglaries. All the contents of the safe worth anything had been removed. The crews from the crime lab and Leighton Prince had already finished their investigation and had gone back to go over their findings. Frank and I talked to the manager of the store, Mr. Charles Gleason.
Well, let me see, Sergeant. The first I knew about it was when they called me to say that the safe had been robbed.
Mm-hmm. Any idea how much was taken?
Well, I'd just be guessing. With the officers working around here, I didn't get a chance to check it yet, but I'd say about $5,000 or $6,000. The weekend and all, we'd done a pretty good business, and I didn't get a chance to get to the bank. I had all that money in the safe. Of course, I'll have to check the books to tell you exactly how much they took, but like I said, it was probably $5,000 or $6,000.
Do you have a burglar alarm system in the store, Mr. Gleason?
I beg your pardon?
I said, do you have a burglar alarm system in the store?
Yes, and that's the funny thing. I can't understand why it didn't work. The officers who were here from your crime lab, is that it?
Yeah, that's right, sir.
Well, they said that evidently it had been turned off somehow. I don't understand it, but that's what they said.
I see. I wonder if you could give us a list of your employees.
Well, yes, certainly, but you don't think that any of them had anything to do with this, do you?
Well, they've all got to be checked out, sir. Can you give us the list?
Oh. Well, yes, I can. I guess that's right, but I'm sure that none of them were involved.
Well, Mr. Gleason, have you noticed anyone hanging around the store, anyone that might have looked suspicious to you that you can remember?
It'd be awfully hard to say. We do a lot of business with all the people who come in and out. It's kind of hard to say.
Yes, sir, we understand. Could you remember, was there anyone who attracted your attention? Maybe someone unusual, somebody loitering in the neighborhood, maybe around the store?
No, sir, not that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that was taken from the safe that might give us a lead, something that might not ordinarily be in there, something that you could identify easily?
No, I don't think so, just the money. Of course, there were several checks.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
ones that, checks that we cashed for the customers. They might have totaled $500. I can give you a list of them. We have them photographed if you want copies of them.
Yes, sir, that'd be a big help.
Oh, officers, there was one more thing.
Yes, sir, what was that?
Well, you know how people lose things.
Yes, sir.
A couple of days ago, we found a watch. It looked expensive. Found it in the back of the store. That was in the safe, too. Everything's gone. Must have taken that, too. It isn't there now.
Well, can you give us a description of the watch?
Yes, I can. I noticed it because, well, to be honest, I was kind of hoping that nobody would claim it. You keep things like that around here for a couple of days and then turn them into you. I'd like to have had that one myself. Certina, it was a gold case with a white face, only had a few numbers. You know, some of the spots were just the little gold spots.
Yeah, I mean the spots were...
The numbers, the numbers, the little gold spots.
I know what you mean, sir.
Well, this one had a gold band, and it was one that was a kind of a chain thing, not an expansion band. You know, the chain, the gold chain.
Yeah, would you know the watch if you saw it again?
Oh, sure, I looked at it enough, and then there was that scratch on the crystal, too.
Sir?
We're right over the number 2. There was a scratch. I can show you right here on my watch. You see right there, a little scratch?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of went off at an angle. It was real easy to spot.
Yes, sir, I understand.
You know, it's a funny thing, you officers being here. There's a friend of mine once, well, I'd just soon not mention his name if you don't mind, because he was innocent, you know, but it looked bad. I was kind of worried about it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And these officers came out to his house, just took the place apart. It was all right. It was perfectly legal. They had a search warrant.
What did they come out for?
Well, they thought he was mixed up in a robbery.
Oh.
I don't know how they ever thought it, but it looked suspicious, I guess. He was seen with some characters that were, well, you know, not very nice. And they came out to his house, took the whole place apart. You never saw such a mess in your life. Ripped up the mattresses, took down ruined the picture. A beautiful picture. End of the trail. You know the one with the Indian,
yes,
the spear going down like that?
Yes, sir.
Took that apart. The whole picture just fell apart. They never could get it back together again. I don't know whether they can get another one or not.
They
Darndest
find
mess you
anything?
ever saw, huh?
I say, did they find anything?
The money?
Yeah, they did. They found a fountain pen his wife had lost 2 years ago. Had her initials on it.
Yes, sir. Well, is there anything else you can think of that would help us here?
No, not that I can figure.
Well, if you do remember anything, sir, here's our card. We'd certainly appreciate a call.
Frank Smith, just ask for you, huh?
Yes, sir, and if we're not there, just leave a message and we'll get in touch with you.
All right, I'll do that.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gleason.
You bet. I sure hope you catch the fellows that are doing it.
Yes, sir, so do we.
Guess you've been after him quite a while now, huh?
Yes, sir, we have.
What the papers say, this makes number 13 for him. Bad number 13, kind of unlucky.
No worse than number 1. Frank and I went back to the city hall and completed our crime report. We contacted the crime lab and latent prints and found that they'd come up with no physical evidence at the scene. From the M.O., it could be definitely established that they were the same suspects we were after. We obtained a list of the employees of the store and checked them out. We came up with no new leads. A list of the checks that had been taken from the safe were given to forgery detail. Frank and I went to Otto Bronson's rooming house and brought him down to the city hall for questioning.
You know, maybe if you guys had spent a little more time doing your job and less time bothering me, you'd end up catching those fellas.
Don't worry about it, Bronson. We'll get them. We'd like to go over what you did last night again.
I told you once.
Tell us again, will you?
All right. Like I said, I had dinner around 8, maybe 8:30.
Where'd you eat?
A place over on Spring.
See anybody you knew?
No, I don't think I did.
Where'd you go then?
I went to a movie, a place on 7th.
See anybody you knew there?
No.
Well, then you'd have a tough time proving where you were, wouldn't you?
Not all the way. You had a tail on me. Most of this you know already.
All right. What'd you do after you left the movie?
I told you that. I went over to see a friend.
Yeah, where's he live?
A hotel on 5th.
What's his name?
Oh, look, I don't want to see him dragged into this.
If he's clean, he's got nothing to worry about, huh?
Yeah, sure, but you guys go over and talk to him. It's a lot of embarrassment for him, and I just don't want it.
All right, let's go.
Oh, no. You gonna book me?
That's it.
I told you what being in a cell does to me.
You should have thought about that before.
Oh, all right, I'll tell you who he is.
Well, go ahead.
His name's Anderson, Mark Anderson.
He ever fallen?
No, he's clean.
Sure about that?
Yeah. Now, I suppose you want to go over and talk to him, huh?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
You're still going to book me?
We haven't any choice.
Look, I told you what I know, Sergeant. I told you everything. I can't help it if I was wrong. Look, it's no crime to make a mistake, is it? I never read about no law that says you can't make a mistake.
Well, why don't you tell us the truth about what you know about these burglaries?
I told you.
What you told us we can't buy.
Well, that's tough, fella, but that's the way it is. And I told you what I know. There isn't any more. Now, if you want, go on. Check with Mark Anderson. He'll tell you I was with him all night. He'll tell you. I don't want no trouble, you guys. He'll tell you, and that's the truth. Really, I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, we've heard that before. 6:40 p.m. We booked Otto Bronson at the main jail on suspicion of burglary. Before he was put in his cell, we got the address of Mark Anderson. After we'd finished with the booking, Frank and I drove over to the hotel on 5th Street. Anderson was registered in room 812. The desk clerk told us that Anderson was in his room. He was unable to tell us much about Anderson because, as he explained, he'd only worked at the hotel for a week and hadn't seen much of him. We went upstairs and knocked at the door.
Yeah?
You Mark Anderson?
That's right. Who are you?
Police officers. I'd like to talk to you.
Sure, come on in.
It's my partner, Frank Smith.
Anderson. What do you want to see me about?
You know a fellow named Bronson, Otto Bronson?
Yeah, sure. I know Otto.
When'd you see him last?
Hey, what's this all about anyway? Otto done something?
Just a routine investigation, Anderson. When was the last time you saw Bronson?
Routine, huh?
That's right.
I saw him last night.
Where'd you see him?
Here. He came up, sat around, filled a bottle, talked it up.
Mm-hmm. What time did he leave here?
Must have been about 7:30 this morning, something like that.
No, I should thank you very much.
Sure, glad to help out whenever I can. Otto isn't in any trouble, is he?
Like we said, it's just routine.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything more I can do to help out, you let me know.
Yeah, we'll do that.
You leaving right away?
Yeah, that's right. We'll be getting back to the office.
Well, I'll get my coat and walk down with you. I got a date in 15 minutes. Gonna have to romp.
It's a nice watch you got there.
Yeah, it's new.
Let me take a look at it, will you?
Well, it's just a watch. If you don't mind, I'd like to get going.
Let me see the watch.
Sure, no reason you can't. Here.
You notice the scratch on the crystal here?
No. Yeah, I never saw that before. Guess I'll have to take it back and get another one.
Let me see it, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you buy this watch?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, jeweler's down the street.
You got a receipt for it?
No, I didn't. I know the guy. I didn't figure I'd need one.
What if we could take a look through your room?
Why? What are you looking for?
Just like to take a look.
You got a search warrant?
No, we can get one if we have to.
Well, then you better go get one. I'm not having any cops looking through my stuff.
Frank?
Yeah.
I told you to get a warrant. You got no right to look in there.
Something in the closet you don't figure we should see.
No,
huh?
it's not that. It's just...
Well, then there's no problem, is it?
Joe,
Yeah.
a couple of suitcases.
You want to bring them out?
Yeah.
Here they are. This one's kind of heavy. Feels like there's some sort of tools in it.
We'll open it up.
Wait a minute. You got the key for this one, Anderson?
There's nothing in there for you.
We'll figure that, huh?
Sure looks like this other one's open.
Now, about this, Anderson. Money here in these chests.
Watch it, Joe.
Anderson. All right, come on, get up. Get up.
I'll shake him, Joe. Yeah, he's clean.
Stand still. All right, Anderson, let's go.
Otto told you, didn't he? A lousy little sneak. He told you. Never did trust him. I kept telling Shorty. I kept telling him we shouldn't trust him.
Who's Shorty?
Shorty Miller.
Want to tell us where we can find him?
Sure, I got nothing to lose. Lousy little Otto.
Just the three of you in on the job?
Yeah, that's all. Otto, Shorty, and me. Just the three of us. Him and his big ideas. How he had it all fixed up when you tagged him. How he was going to get us in the clear. Don't worry, he said. He'd take care of everything. Lousy liar. He'd fix it for us. That's real funny.
Shouldn't be.
What?
He fixed it.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 14th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. Otto N. Bronson, Mark A. Anderson, and Samuel R. Miller were tried and found guilty of 9 counts of burglary with explosives. They received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary with explosives is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 10, nor more than 40 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Stacey Harris. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig on NBC.
Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the burglary detail. For the past month, a hot prowl artist has been working the Silver Lake district in your city. Your job? Stop him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 12th. It was sunny in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Bernard. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the business office, and it was 4:31 p.m. when I got to room 45. Burglary.
Been reading about it in the papers. You know, little items here and there. Not front page stuff, but it started me thinking.
Sure. Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi.
Mr. Bircher is my partner, Sergeant Friday.
I do.
How are you, Mr. Bircher?
Pretty good, pretty good. Except for my feet. They're killing me.
Oh?
That's just a little joke amongst us mailmen, Sergeant. Somebody asks us how we feel, we say our dogs are killing us. It ain't necessarily the truth, but it's what folks expect to hear, so we don't disappoint them.
Yes, sir. What was it you wanted to see us about, Mr. Bircher?
I was just telling your partner here, Smith, is it?
That's right, sir.
Well, I was just telling Mr. Smith my mail route's out in the Silver Lake district.
Uh-huh.
You know, where they've been having them burglaries lately.
Yes, sir.
Sure, it's a shame. Nice part of town, quiet, residential. Nice people, too. Been delivering their mail for the past 12 years.
Is that right?
Get to know folks pretty well in that length of time. Now, you take Mrs. Davenport. Lives in the 700 block on St. George Place.
Yes, sir.
Minute I gave her a mail last Friday, I could tell something was wrong. She didn't even glance at her postcards. That was the tip-off.
Yes, sir.
Told me somebody had sneaked into her house that morning, stole $20 in cash and her diamond engagement ring. Said she'd left it on the sink when she started doing the breakfast dishes. Went in the other room to answer the phone. That must have been when she was robbed.
Mm-hmm.
You already heard about Mrs. Davenport being robbed, have you?
Yes, sir. We talked to her last week.
Oh, you're the fellows come to see her about it?
That's right.
You had any luck yet?
How's that?
Catching the fellow that robbed her.
No, sir, not so far.
Well, I don't know whether this will help you out or not, but I thought I ought to tell you about it anyway.
About what, Mr. Bircher?
Well, happened twice to my knowledge. Twice in the last 2 weeks. Once just this morning. That's why I come down here as soon as I got off work.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mrs. Perkins on South Maltman that happened to today. Said she walked down into her kitchen, and there he was, big as life.
Yes, sir.
Stranger. Complete stranger. She asked him what he was doing there. He said he was from the light company. Come to repair her electric stove.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, Mrs. Perkins don't have an electric stove.
Mm-hmm.
Fellow apologized, said he got into the wrong house by mistake. Mrs. Perkins didn't think nothing about it, and just happened to mention it when I come by with the mail. I didn't think nothing about it either, not at first.
Yes, sir.
Then I remembered same thing happened to Mrs. Johnstone over on Scott Street. 10 days ago. Found a man from the light company standing in her kitchen. She hadn't sent for him either. He said they'd given the wrong address. Now, it just don't stand to reason the light company'd be sending people to the wrong addresses all the time.
No, sir, it doesn't.
Got to thinking about them burglaries. Mrs. Davenport and the ones I read about in the papers. Wondered if there wasn't some connection.
Well, there might be. It's the way a hot prowl artist works.
Hot prowl?
Daytime burglar. Operates when the victim is apt to be in the house.
Oh.
Would you give us their addresses, Mr. Bircher?
Huh?
The two ladies you were telling us about?
You mean that found the fellow from the light company in their kitchen?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins, she lives on South Maltman, number 201. Mrs. Waldo Perkins, that's her full name.
201. And the other lady?
Johnstone. Mrs. Nellie Johnstone. She's a widow lady. Her address is 1247 Scott Street, corner of Scott and Brandon.
I see. Thank you.
Would you mind showing us just what your mail route covers, Mr. Bircher?
Huh?
On the map over here. Would you come over here?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Here we are.
Starts here.
Mm-hmm.
Down this street like so, then over here. This whole section. These streets here, down here.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I end up.
I see.
Mm-hmm. That's the right area, all right.
Yeah.
Anything else I can do for you?
No, sir, I don't believe so. We appreciate your coming in.
Figured out I ought to help you if I could, seeing as how we both work for the same boss.
How's that?
The taxpayer.
We checked with the utility companies, and they told us that they had made no recent repair calls in the vicinity of the addresses that Mr. Bircher had given us. 5:46 p.m. Frank and I drove out to 201 South Maltman. It was a one-story stucco bungalow set behind a white picket fence.
Well, it's about time you... Where are the flowers?
Ma'am?
Aren't you from McAdams Flower Shop?
No, ma'am. We're
They
from the...
promised me they'd have them here by 5. Promised faithfully. Oh, you just can't depend on anybody. Well, what is it?
We're police officers, ma'am.
Police?
This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You, Miss Perkins?
Well, yes, of course. Who'd you think I was?
We'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Oh, what on earth about? Please, I'm in an awful hurry. I've got 16 people coming for dinner.
Just a couple of questions, please. It won't take us long.
Oh, all right. I suppose you might as well come in.
Thank you.
It isn't about Waldo.
Ma'am?
My husband. It isn't about him, is it? Not on top of everything else.
No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I'm just not up to a big dinner party anymore. I shouldn't have tried.
Yes, ma'am.
We understand you had a visitor this morning, Miss Perkins.
Visitor?
A man who said he'd come to fix your stove.
Oh, yes. Now, how on earth... Oh, that mailman. I ought to know better than to tell him anything. He spreads it all over town.
Yes, ma'am. You hadn't sent for an electrician, had you?
Oh, certainly not. If anything was wrong with my stove, I'd send to the gas company. It's a gas range.
Well, could you describe him for us, please?
Describe him?
That's right.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, what did he look like? Was he tall or short?
Well, I hardly even looked at him. He's just an ordinary man.
I see. How old would you say he was?
Isn't this kind of foolish?
Well, we aren't sure yet, ma'am. Do you have any idea of his age?
Oh, youngish, I guess. About 30.
Mm-hmm. How was he dressed?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
Well, did he have on a uniform of any kind?
No uniform. Suit, I think. I didn't pay much attention.
No scars, anything like that?
Well, not that I noticed. Might have.
Well, just what did he say to you?
Well, just that he'd made a mistake, that he was in the wrong house, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any kind of an accent?
No. He sounded like a plain, everyday American to me.
I see.
Do you think you'd recognize him if you saw him again?
Oh, I don't think so. If it had been some other day when I wasn't so busy, when I didn't have so much on my mind.
Yes, ma'am. Did you notice where he went when he left here?
Out the back door.
Did he drive away?
I really haven't any idea. If you're so interested in the poor man, you better talk to Margot.
Margot?
Mrs. Summersby, my next-door neighbor. She was doing some gardening this morning.
I see.
I suppose she saw him, too. There isn't much that gets by Margot. She's a little on the nosy side, if you know what I mean.
Yes, ma'am. Which house is hers?
That one there.
I see.
Now, I've just got to get back to my dinner. I haven't even started the salad yet.
Well, just one more thing, Miss Perkins.
Well, what is it now?
Is anything missing from around the house?
Missing?
Yes, ma'am. Money or anything of value?
Why, no. No, of course not.
You sure, are you?
What on earth are you driving at? A man makes a perfectly honest mistake. Next thing I know, the police are bothering me. You think he was a criminal or something?
I'm sorry we troubled you, Miss Perkins.
I just don't understand it. People come here all the time, day in and day out. Some of them have the right address, some of them have the wrong one. Spend half my life answering the doorbell.
Yes, ma'am.
What's so special about this fellow?
He didn't ring your doorbell. We left Miss Perkins and went over to talk to her next-door neighbor, Mrs. Summersby. Mrs. Summersby told us that she'd spent most of the morning in her garden transplanting begonias. She also said that she remembered seeing a stranger enter Mrs. Perkins' house about 10:30 a.m.
I don't think he noticed me. I was down on my hands and knees behind the hedge.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking it was kind of odd the way he just walked in. Then I decided it's probably somebody about the party she's giving tonight. Delivery man, somebody like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see him leave?
A couple of minutes later, he came backing out, headed out toward the front of the house.
Do you have a car?
Well, I suppose so.
You aren't sure?
No, I just assumed he did if he was a delivery man.
Mm-hmm.
Could you describe him for us, Mrs. Summersby?
Doesn't Mrs. Perkins know who he was?
Well, she isn't sure.
Well, she must know what he looked like.
Well, we'd like to check your description against hers, if it's all right.
I suppose she was a bit vague.
Hmm.
I'm not surprised. She doesn't have a very sharp eye. She can't see her nose in front of her face.
Is that so?
And the way she's been carrying on about this dinner party, well, it's a wonder to me she even remembered the man.
Yes, ma'am.
You'd think if she could entertain 16 people, 2 more wouldn't be any extra trouble.
How's that?
All her talk about just having friends of her sister's. That's who the party's for. Her sister from Cleveland. They're out here on a visit.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse, that's what it is. To get out of inviting Rex and me. Well, she won't need excuses in the future. Our relationship will be on a somewhat different basis.
Yes, ma'am. Now, if you'll just tell us about the man you saw this morning.
Oh, him.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he was good size, tall as you are, maybe. A little heavier. Late 20s or early 30s, I'd put him.
Mm-hmm.
Dark hair, needed a haircut. Nice looking. Not real handsome or anything like that, but good looking.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how he was dressed?
Coat and pants. Don't think they matched. Not too sporty, though.
I see.
Walked real fast, brisk, like he was in a big hurry.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
No. No, I can't think of anything.
Has he been around this neighborhood before?
No, stranger to me.
Would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Don't see why not. Oh, excuse me.
Surely.
Hello? Yes? Oh. That's too bad. Well, I don't know. Oh? Well, I suppose you do, but... Oh. I see. All right. Bye. Mrs. Perkins.
Is that right?
Says the Barringtons can't come. Mr. Barrington's got virus. Wants me and Rex to fill in at the last minute. Well, if you're all through, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I'd better start getting ready.
We told Mrs. Summersby to get in touch with us if she saw the suspect in the neighborhood again. We also told her that we might need her assistance in making an identification from mug shots. She offered to do all she could to help us. 6:48 p.m. Frank and I canvassed the vicinity for anyone else who might have seen the suspect. We were unable to turn up another witness. 8:06 p.m. We drove over to Scott Avenue and interviewed Mrs. Nellie Johnstone. Mrs. Johnstone stated that on Monday of the previous week, a strange man had entered her kitchen. He claimed to be from the electric company. He apologized for coming to the wrong address and left immediately. Her description of the suspect tallied with what we already had. The next day, April 13th, we checked the description in the M.O. with the stats office. They came up with 3 possibles. We took the names to R&I and pulled their packages. 12:08 p.m., we went back to the office.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, from these mug shots, it could be any one of them.
Yeah.
We better try for an identification.
Who do you want to start with?
Doesn't matter. Miss Perkins, I guess.
Okay. Wonder how our party went last night.
I got it. Burglary Friday. Where'd it happen? Yeah, that's the neighborhood. How long ago? I see. Right, thank you. Looks like we won't need Ms. Perkins. They just brought a lady into Georgia Street who lives out in the Silver Lake district.
Yeah.
Found a man going through a purse in the bedroom, tried to stop him from getting away.
Mm-hmm.
He slugged her. We drove over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital and talked to Dr. Sebastian. He told us that a Mrs. Violet Castle had been brought in for treatment. He said she had a bad bruise on her face and a slight concussion. He also said she hadn't lost consciousness and was able to talk to us.
Miss Castle?
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am.
Okay.
We'd like you to tell us what happened, if you would.
I told the others when they come to get me.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to hear from you.
Well, he was just standing there by the dresser. I couldn't imagine where he come from.
Uh-huh.
I didn't say anything for a minute. I was too surprised. He didn't seem to know I was in the room. His back was towards me.
What was he doing?
Well, I couldn't tell, not at first. And then I heard a little snap. Just a click.
Mm-hmm.
I realized he was opening my purse.
Yes, ma'am.
Started fumbling at the things inside. I must have moved or something. Anyway, he looked up, saw me in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes opened up real wide, like he was scared. I remember thinking he's more scared than I am.
Did he say anything?
No, sir, not a word. I did all the talking. Told him to put down my purse. Put it down, I said. Tried to sound real sure of myself.
What happened then?
Dropped the pocketbook, turned round toward me. I don't think he had a gun or anything. If he did, I didn't see it.
Yes, ma'am.
He just started running toward the door. I moved over so as I'd been in his way. Where do you think you're going? I said.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't answer and just pushed past me. I grabbed at his arm, and that's when he hit me. Here, where the bandage is.
I see.
Must have struck the chair when I fell. The doctor tells me I'm going to have a real bump. Guess everybody will be saying Violet Castle sure got the swell head, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't faint, though. I thought for a minute I was going to, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him run out of the house like I heard a wild horse's the way he pounded out of there. Managed to get to my feet, made it to the telephone in the hall, and called the police.
Mm-hmm.
They sent an ambulance for me. Got there real quick. First time I ever rode in an ambulance.
Is that right?
Oh, I've had my share of sickness. I've been in hospitals and all that, but I never had an ambulance ride before.
Yes, ma'am.
Siren, too. Siren going all the way down here. Now, I thought I must be pretty bad off. They had to use a siren like that, but the doctor says it's usual.
Mm-hmm.
He told me I'd be up and around again in a few days, be my old self, except for my lump. It'd be a while before a lump like that goes away.
Do you think you could identify the man who hit you, Mrs. Castle?
Identify him?
Well, yes. If we showed you some pictures, could you pick him out?
Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm afraid not.
Oh?
But it isn't that I wouldn't know him, you understand, him or his picture. I'm not likely to forget that face.
Well?
Too dark in here for me to look at any pictures. Way too dark. Doctor said they had to leave the blinds down for the time being. Told me not to turn the light on.
I understand.
I'm sorry I can't be more help, but the doctor left strict orders.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll check on it, Joe.
Thank you.
Always believe in following doctor's orders.
Yes, ma'am.
No use paying a doctor unless you do what he tells you. That's how my husband always used to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm not paying anything here, am I? That's what they told me.
Yes, ma'am.
I explained I wasn't a charity case. Got some health and accident insurance. I guess you'd call this an accident, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm not sure. I imagine so.
Dr. Sebastian says it'll be all right to turn the lights on for a few minutes, Joe.
Okay.
Are you sure it's all right?
Yes, ma'am, said so.
He was so positive before about keeping it dark in here.
Well, a couple of minutes probably won't make any difference, Miss Castle.
Well, the doctor says so.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, sure seems bright, don't it?
Yes, ma'am. Now, if you just look through these photos.
I'll do my best. It sure is funny.
How's that?
You getting here so quick and having pictures all ready to show me.
Well, we don't know that we've got his picture here.
Well, that's what's so funny.
Ma'am.
This is him, right here.
Mrs. Castle positively identified one of the mug shots we had shown her. Ralph Foster Maple. Maple had done time for burglary. The three ladies we had previously interviewed also identified the suspect's picture. 3:16 p.m. We went back to the office. The crime lab reported that there were no fingerprints or other physical evidence at Mrs. Castle's home. Frank and I checked the phone books and city directories for Maple's address. There was no listing. We ran DMV for a car registration. They had nothing under his name, but they told us that a Mrs. Ralph F. Maple at 317 Himber Street was the registered owner of a late model Nash sedan. 4:48 p.m. We drove out to interview Mrs. Maple.
Yes?
Mrs. Maple?
Yes?
Your husband in?
My husband?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm afraid you've made a mistake.
Oh?
I'm not married. Not anymore.
Oh, I see. You were married to Ralph Maple?
Yes?
We're police officers.
Oh.
This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
What's he done now?
We'd like to get in touch with him, that's all. You mind if we come in?
Give me a minute to send my daughter over to the neighbors. I'd rather she didn't hear this.
We'll have to come in.
Oh, all right. Over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Go out and play, will you, honey? What is it this time? Burglary again?
We're just trying to reach him, Miss Maple. Do you know where he lives?
No.
Is he still in Los Angeles?
I suppose so. He was here a couple of weeks ago. Came by to see Joanne. She's our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Should have known he was up to something.
Ma'am?
Brought us presents. Expensive presents. Said he had a new job. I didn't really believe him, but I tried to for Joanne's sake.
Did he say what this job was?
Selling. Didn't mention the firm. I suppose he could be a good salesman if he'd try.
Does he have a car?
Told me it was in the shop being repaired. Came up in a taxi cab.
I see.
It's a great one for taxis, Ralph is. Big tipper, too. It's somebody else's money. I'm sorry. I guess I sound a little bitter, don't I?
No.
It was my own doing. I knew he was wild when I married him. I thought he'd change. He did. He got worse.
How long you been divorced?
A little over 2 years now. Oh, I waited till he got out of prison. I thought that was my duty, have a home ready for him to come back to.
Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't hold down a job, didn't even try. Well, we'd managed without him while he was in San Quentin. I knew we could do it again. He's supposed to support Joanne. I haven't seen a penny in 6 months. Always brings her a present, though. It's his way of trying to get on the good side.
Mm-hmm. You know any of his friends who might help us locate him?
His friends aren't my friends, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
But you won't have any trouble finding him.
Ma'am?
He'll be here tomorrow.
Oh.
It's Joanne's birthday. He'll bring her something. He'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose he does love her. In his way. Maybe he loves me, too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I love him. I was even thinking about us getting back together. If it was true about his new selling job. I guess you never learn, do you?
You're sure he'll be here tomorrow?
He won't miss Joanne's birthday. Ralph's a very thoughtful father, not the kind of man who forgets birthdays and anniversaries.
I see.
Might forget to pay his bills, but that's different.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be quite a birthday present for Joanne, won't it?
What's that?
Her father getting arrested again.
The next day, Thursday, April 14th, we staked out Mrs. Maple's house. 3:35 p.m. A taxicab pulled up and Ralph Maple got out. He was carrying a large package.
Keep the change. Thanks, Victor.
Ralph Maple? Police officers, just stand still.
What's going on?
He's light, Joe.
All right, let's go.
Oh, wait a minute. Can't you tell me what this is all about?
We'll let you tell us downtown.
Well, you can't arrest a man without some reason.
Where were you yesterday?
What time?
Let's start with the morning.
Got up, had breakfast, went shopping.
Where?
Department stores, had to buy a present for my daughter. This is it right here.
That take you all morning, did it?
Yeah, most of it.
All right, come on, get in the car.
Well, if you just tell me what it is you want to know.
We want to know about a lady who's in the hospital.
Lady?
Yeah, somebody slugged her yesterday.
You think it was me?
She does. Let's find out if she's right. Come on, Maple.
Okay, she's right.
All right, let's go.
I didn't mean to hit her very hard.
It was hard enough.
Just wanted to get her out of my way.
All right. Get in.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute, huh?
Hmm?
What about this?
What about what?
My little girl's present. It's her birthday.
Well?
Well, can I give it to her?
You stay where you are.
What about one of you guys? You could take it up to the door. It's not hot. You can see for yourself. The store wrapped it, see?
Yeah.
I paid for it myself.
With whose money?
Well, the least you can do is see that she gets it.
Joe? All right, go ahead.
Here you are.
I'll be right back.
Sure appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
She's just a little girl, 6 today. Wouldn't understand if there wasn't a present from Daddy.
Yeah.
I never missed her birthday. Even when I was in the joint, I saw to it that she got something.
Yeah.
Wife divorced me a couple years back. I guess I can't blame her.
Yeah.
Not for divorcing me. Had it coming. She shouldn't have got sole custody, though.
Mm-hmm.
Girl needs a father. Everybody talks about how boys need their old man. The way I see it, a girl needs him more.
Is that so?
Sure, you know, they're so kind of helpless.
Yeah.
It was on account of her, Joanne. That's the only reason I done it. Little girl's entitled to pretty things. I couldn't afford them, not with the kind of dough that I made.
Yeah?
I had to get the money somewhere. I never stole much, just enough to buy her a few presents. Figured if I didn't, she'd turn against me. Being divorced and all, I figured I had to do more than regular fathers.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have given Dora sole custody. It wasn't fair. She lets me come around and visit whenever I want, but it's sort of like saying Joanne doesn't belong to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Judge claimed I wasn't a fit father. How do you like that? Just because a man does a little time, everybody has it in for him afterward.
Yeah.
The idea of saying I'm not a fit father.
You know something, Mabel?
Hmm?
You proved him right.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 6th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Ralph Foster Maple was tried and convicted of burglary in the first degree, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 5 years. Assault with intent to do great bodily harm is punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years in the state penitentiary.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. An unidentified woman is found murdered in a hotel room. Cause of death, strangulation. There's no lead to the identity of the killer. Your job, find him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 27th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 1:35 p.m. when we got to the old Central Jail building, 3rd floor, the crime lab.
How you doing, Lee? Hi, Ben. Joe?
How's it going? Did you check the stuff yet?
Yeah, most of it. Come on back here.
Okay.
Well, this is all of it.
Did you find anything we can get a lead out of?
Nothing too good, no. I don't think you could identify it from what we've got here. The morgue post the body yet?
Yeah, just this morning. How about fingerprints, Lee? They find any in that hotel?
No foreign prints, no. Dead end there.
What about the woman's purse? Did it show anything?
No chance. You can see the fabric here. Won't take a print.
Yeah.
Contents of the purse here, usual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Comb, lipstick, keychain, 1 key on it, half pack of chewing gum, coin purse, a dime, 2 nickels in it. That's all of it.
Yeah. According to the room clerk at the hotel, she had a wallet with her when she checked in. There's no sign of that, was there?
Nope. No sign of it in the hotel room either. Checked everything.
Is that the only piece of jewelry found on the body, that wedding ring there?
Yeah, it's a cheap ring. No markings on it. No way of tracing it. About the only thing I can tell you, she was pretty well dressed. That's an expensive bag there.
Yeah.
Sure not a cheap dress, either. Same for her coat and shoes. They cost some money, too.
How about labels on any of that stuff?
One on the coat.
Yeah?
You can see right here. Benwick Department Store, Los Angeles. Coat's fairly new. They might be able to give you something on it.
Maybe.
The people at the hotel, get anything there?
Well, it could have been better, Lee. The woman checked in last night around 8 o'clock. She registered as John Ross and wife, L.A.
Anyone see the man with her?
No, nobody. Room clerk says the woman came in alone. She said her husband was out parking the car, so she registered for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Clerk said he left the desk a few minutes after that. Figures the man must have come in sometime while he was gone. Nobody on duty at the desk after midnight. He could have left the hotel any time after that without being seen.
She registered at 8 p.m. The coroner says she died about 10:30.
You're not even sure there was a man with her, are you?
Yeah, the woman who was registered next door to the murder room, she told us she heard a man and a woman arguing. It was about 10 o'clock. Said it got pretty loud.
No idea who the woman really was, huh? I suppose that John Ross and wife business doesn't mean anything.
That's pretty doubtful. About all we got to go on is the physical description from the coroner. She was a small woman, 5'1", 99 and a quarter pounds, wasn't that it, Ben?
Yeah.
Brown hair, blue eyes, about 31, 32 years old. We got her prints off to Washington.
Got any ideas?
We figured maybe it could be a psycho killer.
How'd you figure?
The coroner's report listed strangulation as the cause of death.
Yeah?
Whoever did it made sure her neck was broken. At approximately 6 o'clock that morning, in a second-floor room of a downtown hotel, the body of an unidentified woman was found murdered. Preliminary investigation failed to reveal the true identity of the victim or the killer. As far as physical evidence was concerned, there wasn't much to go on. The deep bruises on her neck and throat, along with the crushed vertebrae at the base of her skull, indicated a savage attack. 1:55 p.m. Through the label on the dead woman's coat, we traced the garment to a department store where it had been purchased, but they had no record on it. It was a cash purchase, and the salesgirl couldn't remember the customer. Investigation during the next 2 days failed to turn up any leads. We showed a morgue picture of the victim to bartenders, waitresses, parking lot attendants in the vicinity of the hotel. They couldn't identify her. We rechecked tenants and employees at the hotel. That got us nothing. Thursday, 5:48 p.m.
One answer I'd sure like to find.
Yeah?
The victim was a nice-looking woman, well-dressed, nice clothes. How come she'd stay in a cheap hotel down the neighborhood like that? It doesn't jibe for my money.
Well, that's hard to say.
Sure got me stopped. 2 days leg work and we're no play.
Well, we might be in better shape when we get that kickback from Washington.
I sure hope so.
Go ahead.
Hey, excuse me?
Well, yes, sir. Can we help you?
Well, no, I don't know. Guess that all depends. I'm waiting for a couple of detectives here.
Well, who is it you wanted to see?
A couple of detectives.
Well, who are they?
It's pretty confidential, you know. I have to talk to them. They told me to see Friday and Romero. Ben Friday and Joe Romero, detectives handling the case.
Yes, sir. I'm Joe Friday. This is my partner, Ben Romero. We're handling the case. What do you want to see us about?
You said you were working on that murder case? That woman they found in the hotel?
Yes, sir. That's right.
That's so? I see your badges?
Yes, sir. Here's our identification.
Mm-hmm. Read about that murder in the paper, you know. You better come over here.
Yeah.
You're going to thank me for this. I got all you want to know about that murder.
You mind telling us your name, sir?
I don't mind. Al P. Morgan. I was a good friend of hers, you know. Used to work with her.
You mean the dead woman?
It's the same one. I never forget her face, Maud McLeod. Saw that picture in the paper, and I said to myself, there's old Maud.
You're pretty sure of that, are you, Mr. Morgan?
Sure, I'm sure. Maud McLeod. Used to work together in the circus. Maud was a bareback girl, you know, best in the country, real trooper.
What makes you so sure it's the same woman, Mr. Morgan? When was the last time you saw this friend of yours, this Maud McLeod?
Well, I used to see her all the time. Worked the old cells floater together. Got a photo of her.
Do you mind if we take a look at it, sir?
That's why I came down here. I want to help out. She's got to be identified. Well, let's see. Got it here somewhere. It's old Maud in her circus costume. Yeah, here it is. Take a look at that. It's Maud, ain't it?
Well, I don't know, sir. Doesn't seem to be too much resemblance here.
Is that right?
Afraid you've made a mistake, Mr. Morgan. Thanks for your cooperation anyhow. Appreciate you coming in.
Well, sure, it was Maud.
I get it. Homicide Friday. Oh, yeah, Frank, uh-huh. Is that right? What'd it say? Huh? Yeah. Okay, fine. No, we'll pick it up. Yeah, thanks.
Anything?
Communications. They got the kickback from Washington on the dead woman's fingerprints.
Any luck?
They got her identified. She worked at an aircraft plant during the war. Name's Doris Frazier.
I can't help but think you fellas are missing a bet. I knew that dead woman.
Well, she's already been identified, Mr. Morgan. We know who she is. Her name's Doris Frazier.
That's so.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, what do you think of that? Old Maud. She went and changed her name.
Thursday, 6:35 p.m. Ben and I went down the hall to communications and got a copy of the kickback from Washington. The murder victim was identified as Doris Eileen Frazier. She applied for a position as a typist at the Eagle Aircraft Plant in Burbank in 1942. Next morning, we checked the personnel office at the plant, and we found that Doris Frazier had been employed as a typist from 1942 to 1944. In going over her application, we found her last known address listed as 7346 Oakdale Avenue. Her application stated she was single, with no previous employment, with no known relatives. We could uncover no further information on the girl. We drove across town to the Oakdale Avenue address, a large apartment building in a better-than-average neighborhood. The manager told us that Doris Frazier had lived there up to 8 months before. He said that a few weeks before she moved, she was married to a tall, dark-haired man, but he was unable to remember his name. The manager also told us that the newly married couple apparently began having trouble from the day that they were married. We checked the next forwarding address, a boarding house for women in the south end of the city. Ben and I interviewed the woman in charge, a Mrs. Frances Watson. We talked to her back in the kitchen of the boarding house while she polished a set of silverware.
I saw that picture in the paper. I didn't connect it with Doris, though. She was a much prettier girl when she lived here.
You say she left here about 18 months ago, Miss Watson?
Yes, maybe a little more. Might be closer to 2 years. I'd have to check my rent receipts to be sure.
Did you happen to know anything about the Frazier girl, Miss Watson? I mean, did you know much about her personal life at all?
Well, of course, I always insist on references. Any good boarding house does, you know. Doris was a nice girl in many ways. Of course, she had her shortcomings. I suppose we all do. When she first came here, she seemed like such a nice girl, and then she started to go downhill. I just don't know what got into her.
Well, how do you mean, ma'am? Was she in some kind of trouble?
Well, of course, when she first came here, we didn't know it, but she was married. This is a home for single girls. We have our rules and regulations just like any other respectable place.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Well, as we came to find out later, Doris wasn't only married, but she was fighting with her husband. I understand he wasn't much at all. She was thinking of getting a divorce, as a matter of fact.
Well, did you ever meet her husband, Miss Watson?
No, I never did. I suppose it's just as well I didn't. I understand that Doris left him after they'd been married only a few months.
Do you know what his name is, ma'am?
No, I have no idea. Or Doris always used her maiden name when she was with me.
Then you never saw this man, Miss Watson? He never came to the house here?
No, I didn't say I never saw him. I said I didn't meet him. Yes, there was once when he came to the house to see Doris.
And what was the occasion? You mind telling us about it?
Oh, it was most unpleasant, I can tell you that. Let me see now. Yes, Doris had been here about 6 months. Even by that time, I was beginning to see the real side of the girl. No character, Sergeant, no character at all. It shows up every time.
Yes, ma'am. I wonder if you'd go on, please.
Well, as I was saying, it was after about 6 months when this man brought Doris home late one night, about 1:45, I'd say. Upset the whole house.
How was that, ma'am?
The two of them, this man and Doris, they stood right out there in the hall, had a terrible quarrel. The language, it was dreadful. The top of their lungs, too. My husband went out to quiet them down, but the man left before he had a chance to calm him down. He upset the whole house.
Now, this man that the Frazier woman was arguing with, you're sure that was her husband?
Well, as sure as I can be. That's what Doris told me, anyway, the day after. I called her in and told her I just couldn't tolerate behavior like that. It upset her quite a bit, I remember. She cried, said it wouldn't happen again. That's when she told me she was trying to get a divorce.
Is that what the big argument was about? Would you know that?
Yes, she said she wanted a divorce. Her husband didn't. He wanted her back with him. Certainly is sad the way some people mix up their lives.
Yes, ma'am. By any chance, did you get a good look at this man, the husband, I mean?
Well, he was tall and had dark hair. That's about all I remember. He was well-dressed, too.
I see. When Doris Frazier left here, Mrs. Watson, did she leave a forwarding address with you?
No, she didn't. I haven't any idea where she moved.
What kind of work was she doing while she was living here? Do you have any idea where she was employed?
Yes, that was one of the references she gave me. Furniture company. Down on Venice Boulevard, if I remember correctly. I have the address in my record book. Certainly is unfortunate, the whole thing.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
He even tried to talk to her before she left. Sat her down and talked to her for a whole afternoon. I guess it was just a waste of time.
How's that, ma'am?
And trouble with her husband. Terrible thing. He seemed to treat her so badly, two of them fighting all the time. I believe she was actually afraid of him. She told me he was very jealous. He drank and ran around. That's why I couldn't understand it.
You couldn't understand what, ma'am?
Doris, when she moved away from here,
Yes, ma'am?
she said she was going back with her husband.
The landlady, Frances Watson, gave us the address of the furniture store where the murder victim had been employed, and we drove down to check with the personnel manager, a Mr. Collins. He said that Doris Frazier had been fired from her job 10 months before. He said she'd been let go because she was constantly late for work and that she got into the habit of asking for salary advances too often. Collins also told us that he'd heard about the trouble between the Frazier woman and her husband. He said he'd seen the husband in the store several times when he came to call for his wife. He identified the husband as Stephen Arnold. The description was approximately the same, a tall, well-dressed man, dark hair, heavy build. The personnel manager gave us the last known address they had on the victim. The following morning, we checked it out, an apartment hotel in the East Wilshire area. She was still registered there, together with her husband, Stephen Arnold, but the desk clerk told us that Arnold hadn't been living there for the past 3 months. He had no idea where Arnold had moved. He didn't know where he worked. While the desk clerk stood by, Ben and I went upstairs and checked the apartment.
Anything, Joe?
No, nothing.
Nothing in the bedroom. Like Lee says, she goes in for nice clothes, about all I can figure. Well, what you got there?
See it lying on the desk here. Looks like she started a letter and didn't get to finish it.
What's it say there?
Well, it's dated October 23rd. That's over a week ago. Says, Dear George, I've been meaning to write to you before, but that's all. That's as far as she got.
George. First time we've run into that name on this deal. Makes more than one man in her life.
Yeah, there's a couple of more letters here. They're all addressed to her, unopened.
Let's see.
All we can go by are the return addresses. Telephone bill, ad from a woman's store, postcard, another ad. Here's something. Santa Monica postmark.
Yeah. Check the name on that return.
Yeah. Stephen Arnold. 12:35 p.m. We called the office and checked Stephen Arnold through R&I. He had no criminal record. The return address, which he'd listed on the envelope of the letter to his wife, was 10826 Pacific Front Boulevard. We located it on the beach just below Santa Monica. It was a small hamburger stand owned and operated by the dead woman's husband.
No, I haven't seen Doris for a couple months anyway. Why? I understand you had an apartment with your wife in the East Wilshire neighborhood. Is that right, Mr. Arnold? Yeah, that's right. Mind telling us why you left? No, I don't mind. Want to move closer to my work, that's all. That place is way too far out.
Well, how is it your wife didn't move with you, sir?
She wanted to stay close to town. Doesn't care for the beach much. Bad for his sinus, I guess.
Well, did you have an argument with your wife, Arnold? Some kind of a disagreement? Is that one of the reasons you moved?
Yeah, you might call it that. We're getting a divorce. That's so? Yeah, it was the best thing all the way around. It's been nothing but fighting and scrapping the last year anyway. We decided to call it quits. Will you excuse me a minute? I got to put some cold drinks in this cooler here.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Would either of you care for a cold drink?
No, no thanks.
Coke, maybe? No, thanks.
Did you get the divorce from your wife, Mr. Arnold?
Yeah, that's right. I'm divorcing her. Why do you want to know?
You remember that last time you saw your wife, the exact date, I mean?
No, I don't think I remember that. Been at least 3 months, I'll say that much. You spend most of your time down here at the beach, do you, Mr. Arnold? Yeah, that's right. I get into town once or twice a month. They sure you would like a Coke?
No, thanks.
Think I'll have one myself, if you don't mind. Sure, I get a cold one here. Water sure is cold. How about last Tuesday night, sir? You happened to be in town that night? Oh, last time was 2-3 weeks ago anyway. Went in to see a show. I was working here last Tuesday night. Work every night except Monday. It's the only night I'm closed up.
Is there anyone who can vouch for that?
I don't think I get this. Why do you want to know?
Well, is there anybody who can vouch for you?
Well, sure. Half a dozen people anyway. A fellow runs a place next door, and the guys in the rest of the stalls up and down the way here, they can all vouch for me. I work till 1 a.m., same as usual. Hey, just a minute. Hey, Vic! Vic! Yeah, Steve? Hop over here for a minute. Something I want to talk to you about. Yeah, just a minute. Okay, Vic, thanks. He'll be right over. Hey, you fellas want a cup of coffee or anything? No, I wouldn't. Like to have change for that cigarette machine, though, if you don't mind. Oh, sure. There you are. Oh, thanks. Yes, Steve? Hey, these fellows are detectives, Vic. Guess about some kind of jam my wife got into. They want to know where I was last Tuesday night.
Yeah?
They want somebody to vouch for me.
Sure.
Did you see Mr. Arnold last Tuesday night?
I was working next door. Steve was here all night.
listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Saturday, October 31st, 2 p.m. Ben and I checked with a dozen different concession operators in the neighborhood of Stephen Arnold's eating place. They all corroborated the fact that on the night his wife had met her death in a downtown hotel, Arnold had been working at his stand until 1 a.m. Despite all the previous indications that he might have been responsible for the murder of his wife, we had to eliminate him as a possible suspect. 2:20 p.m. On the way back into town, we stopped by the apartment hotel where Doris Frazier was living at the time of her murder. After checking further with the tenants and with the help in the building, we found out that the victim had been in the habit of eating most of her meals at restaurants in the immediate neighborhood. After some 2 hours of checking and running into 6 restaurants, we found a small coffee shop 4 blocks from the apartment building where one of the waitresses identified Doris Frazier's picture.
Yeah, that's her, officer. Terrible picture, though. She looks so much older.
About how often would you say Miss Frazier came in here, ma'am?
Well, 3 or 4 times a week, I'd say. The bus stop's right out there on the corner. She'd usually have breakfast, then grab the bus and go to work. Some nights coming home from work, she'd stop in here for dinner. Nice girl, quiet.
Did you get to know her at all, miss? I mean, did you happen to know any of her friends here in the neighborhood?
No, as I say, she was a quiet person, not very talkative. Usually read while she was eating, book or magazine.
Uh-huh. Did she ever come in here with anyone else? Do you know that?
Yeah, quite a few times. She seemed to have a boyfriend. Of course, she was attractive, small, you know, but real cute looking.
Uh-huh. Do you happen to know any of these men?
No, I'm sorry I don't.
Any one of them in particular she came in with very often?
Let's see. I think there was one, blonde, good dresser, kind of tall, good looking. They usually came in together for breakfast.
How long ago was this, miss? Do you recall?
Oh, I'd say up until a couple of weeks ago. I usually waited on him in the morning. That's how I happen to remember.
I see. Did you ever happen to hear this man's name?
Let me see. George, I think that was it, yeah.
Uh-huh. Would you happen to know if he lives in the neighborhood?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Has this man been in here during the past week, do you know?
Yes, he has. He came in for breakfast.
What day was that?
This morning.
Before we left the coffee shop, we questioned the cashier who came up with the information that the man known as George usually left his car parked at the service station across the street. We left our card and asked the cashier to call us in case the suspect returned. At the service station, they also remembered the man known as George, but they told us he hadn't been in for the past month. They'd done some work on his car for him in the past, so they had a record of his license number. We called our DMV and found that the car was registered to a Carl Lucy in East Hollywood. 4:45 p.m. We drove out and interviewed Lucy at his home, but he came nowhere near the description of the suspect. He told us that he had purchased the car 6 weeks before from a man known as George Crane. He described Crane as tall, blond, and well-dressed. From the bill of sale, we got Crane's address, a motel on East Manchester. The manager there told us that George Crane had moved a week before. He said that Crane had left no forwarding address, but he did remember where he worked. He was a driller in one of the oil fields down in Long Beach. We checked the oil company's personnel office downtown, but they were closed for the day. 6:18 p.m. We went back to the office and pulled the package on George Crane from R&I.
Get anything on him?
Yeah, he's got a record. Here's the package here.
Yeah.
Nothing very heavy. Drunk charge 2 years ago. Another one last year. Disorderly conduct. Resisting arrest. That's about all.
Let's see. Yeah, description checks out all the way.
You called the night office of that oil company, did you?
Yeah, they couldn't tell us anything. Said call back first thing in the morning. Want to reach you?
I got it, yeah. Homicide, Friday. Who? How's that? Oh, yeah, sure. Yes, sir. No, sir, I'm afraid not. Yeah, thanks anyway. You bet. Yeah, goodbye. Well, that does it.
Who was it?
That guy who was in here the other day. You remember that Alfred P. Morgan or whatever it was?
Oh, what did he want?
Wanted to buy us a drink. He's celebrating.
Huh?
His old friend Maud. He just found her. 8 a.m. the next morning, we checked with the personnel department of the oil company's downtown offices. They told us that George Crane was employed as a driller, that he'd been working for the company for the past 5 years, and that he had a good employment record. They told us he was on the day shift and that he was scheduled to report for work on rig 619 at the Long Beach field at 8 o'clock that morning. Ben and I got in the car, drove down to Long Beach, where we located the murder suspect, George Crane, at work in the field.
Doris Frazier? No, I'm sorry, Sergeant. I don't think I know anybody by that name.
How about Doris Arnold, Mr. Crane? Would you know anybody by that name?
Arnold? No, I'm afraid not. What's it all about?
You own a car, do you, sir?
Yeah, that's it right over there, that dark sedan.
Yeah. Have you had it long?
Oh, I've had it a couple of weeks. Last one I had was giving me a lot of trouble.
Did you trade it in?
No, I sold it to a private party. Fell out in Hollywood.
You mind taking a look at this picture, Mr. Crane?
Yeah. Doesn't look like anybody I know. Why, am I supposed to?
We think you should, yes, sir.
I don't think I follow you.
Do you spend any time around the East Wilshire district, Crane?
East Wilshire, you said?
Yeah.
No, I've probably been over there a couple of times. Not lately, though.
How about the coffee shop on the corner of Gramercy and Marengo? You ever been in there?
Not that I remember, no.
Well, a waitress in that coffee shop and the cashier, too. They say they've got a pretty regular customer. He fits your description exactly. You sure you've never been in there?
Well, I'm not positive. I wouldn't swear I've never been in the place. What's the difference, anyway?
Well, how about that service station across the street from the coffee shop? You ever parked your car there? They ever do any work on it for you?
Oh, say, I bet I know the place you're talking about. Yeah, I've been there quite a few times. Good station. They done some good jobs on the car for me. I remember it now.
Well, then I guess you remember the coffee shop. Crane?
Yeah, I think I do now. Right across the street from the station, that it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what do you want to know about it?
When's the last time you were in there, Crane?
Well, tell you the truth, I couldn't be sure.
Well, we talked to a waitress in there yesterday. She said you were in that morning for breakfast. Do you remember that?
She's way off the track on that one, I can tell you that. I wasn't near the place yesterday morning.
Well, the cashier remembers you, too. She says you were in. How about it, Crane?
Look, what difference does it make? What's this thing all about, anyway?
You want to take another look at this picture?
Well, I told you once, I don't know the woman. I never saw her before in my life.
Why don't you give it some thought?
Huh?
I said, why don't you give it some thought? You remembered East Wilshire. You remembered the service station. You finally remembered the coffee shop. Maybe you can remember her if you try.
I tell you, I don't know her. I never saw her in my... Look, let's go in the shed where we can hear each other, huh?
All right.
Yeah, that's a little better, huh? The waitress in the place says you were in there quite a few times with a woman. You usually came in for breakfast. You stopped going there about 2 weeks ago.
I don't know her.
What's the matter, Crane? You figure you got something to hide?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know her. What do you figure she's got to do with me, anyway?
We checked her apartment, mister. We found a letter she was writing to you. You about ready to tell us?
What's a letter? That doesn't mean anything. Can't prove anything about a letter. What are you thinking, anyway?
We think you're lying, Crane. We think you got a reason for it. What do you say?
Doesn't prove anything. Maybe I knew her, and that doesn't mean anything at all.
We think it does.
Yeah?
We think you killed her.
That the way it looks to you?
That's the way it looks.
I don't think you can prove it.
We're going to try. Now, how about it?
Will it go any easier for me if I admit it?
That's not up to us.
I don't know why I did it. What am I going to give for a reason? I don't know why I killed her.
I wouldn't know, Crane.
Didn't really have any reason. That sounds funny, doesn't it? No reason at all. I just killed her. What am I going to tell him? If I don't have a reason, how can I ask him to let me off easy? How can I ask him?
I don't know, but they'll have an answer.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 8th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 92, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, all of us on Dragnet sincerely hope that all of you enjoyed a happy Thanksgiving.
George Martin Crane was tried and convicted in Superior Court of murder in the first degree. He is now serving a life term in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Next, Counter Spy fights international intrigue. Stay tuned to NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. An organized gang of pickpockets is working in your city. None of the victims can give a description of the suspects. There's no lead to their identity. Your job? Get them.
It was Tuesday, May 10th. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Division, pickpocket detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from communications, and it was 11:14 a.m. when I got to room 38. Bunko.
Joe?
Yeah.
Anything come in from St. Louis?
Yeah, they checked the Carney's plan back there. No trace of Beck.
Tip was wrong then, huh?
Yeah, looks like it.
Where to now?
Well, about all we can do is sit and wait for a reply on the radiogram. He's got to be someplace, and he isn't going to stop working. There'll be word on him somewhere.
I'll be glad when we turn the key.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
I wonder if you could help me.
Oh, we'll try, sir. You want to come on in? What's it all about?
I've been robbed.
Sir?
They took my money, all of it, every bit. I don't know how, but they took it all. I don't know what to do.
Well, do you want to sit down?
Yes, please. I don't know how they did it. I tried to be so careful, but they took it all. 37 years doing without, and now I got nothing.
Well, this is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday. Maybe if you tell us what happened here, we could help you.
Yes, maybe. I'm Louis Bonning.
Yes, sir.
I live at 1820 Woodworth Court, Los Angeles, 12. I have a room there.
I see.
$14 a week in privileges.
If you tell us what happened, Mr. Bonning, we might be able to do something for you.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to think of what happened. I don't believe it yet.
Oh, now you said you were robbed. Is that right?
Yes. $5,200. All gone.
Well, were you held up?
No, nothing like that. If it was that way, I'd know. But just all of a sudden, I put my hand in my pocket to feel the money, and it wasn't there. Nothing was there. I had a pocket full of empty.
Now, sir, do you usually carry that much money around with you?
No, mister. I got it from the bank this morning. I'm going away. I was leaving Los Angeles. That's why I had the money, so I could leave.
All right, sir. Suppose you start right at the beginning and tell us the whole story, will you?
Well, my wife passed on 4 weeks ago, Monday, April 4th. That's when it happened, April 4th.
Uh-huh.
We came to this country when we were both young. She died 4 weeks ago.
Yes, sir. If you'd go on about the theft, please.
Well, I thought I'd maybe go back to Chicago to live with one of my daughters. She asked me to come, and I thought I would, so I drew out the money.
You took the money out of the bank?
Yes, this morning. $5,200. It's what we'd saved. I couldn't leave it here in the bank if I was going to be in Chicago.
Well, you could have had the money transferred, you know.
Well, I guess that's what I should have done, but it's too late now.
Did you have the money when you left the bank?
Yes. I rolled the bills up and put them here in my pocket. Here, this one on the left side. I kept my hand on the money, so I knew it was there.
Now, what'd you do after you left the bank?
Well, I was going home. I thought I'd walk home. I went down the street, and then I thought I'd stop for some coffee. I was all packed at my room, so I didn't want to make a mess. I thought I'd have a cup of coffee out.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the big market. They have a coffee counter there, and I went in and sat down. All the time I kept my hand on the money. I could feel it through the pants. It was in my pocket.
Yes, sir.
I had the coffee, and then I went to go out of the market. As I walked through all the people, a box fell off a stack of boxes and almost hit me. I didn't think anything about it. Nobody was hurt. All the people in the market came over to me and asked if I was all right, but I said yes, I was all right. Then I went out of the market. I got on the street. When I remembered about the money, it was gone.
Now, it had been taken from you in the market, is that right?
Yes, mister. It was in the market, I think.
Well, let's get this straight. While you were in there, did anyone bump into you?
I don't understand.
I mean, anyone jostle you, bump into you without reason?
No, I don't remember.
Did anybody follow you from the bank to the market that you noticed?
It was hard to tell, mister. There are a lot of people on the street. It would be hard to tell if there was anyone.
Yes, sir, I understand. But was there any one person you recall having seen this morning? One face that you might remember, maybe?
No, mister. I tried to think about it, but there's no one.
I see.
Do you think you'll get it back for me?
Sir?
The money. It makes a big difference.
How's that?
Before, when I had the money, I could go and live with my daughter. With the money, I could be independent. It'd be a different feeling. You understand, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do.
That's why it's so important you get the money back, so I can go live with my daughter. So I can do that. That's the only reason I trouble you. The only reason I have to ask you to find the man. That's the only reason I got it.
It's a little different with us, sir.
Huh?
We've got another one. For the past several weeks, we've been getting reports of the existence of an organized gang of pickpockets working in Los Angeles. Contrary to most opinion, a pickpocket seldom works alone. Like everything else, it's gotten to be a highly specialized operation. Normally, there are several men to each team. The jug mob, who usually spends his time in banks looking for the victim. The shover, who pushes or bumps the victim so his money can be taken. And the wire, who does the actual pocket picking. In certain types of operation, the jug mob is replaced by the short, who works streetcars and spots people who have large amounts of money. Under normal circumstances, a professional group of pickpockets can take approximately $5,000 a day out of a tip or a crowd. 11:47 a.m. We had the victim, Louis Bonning, look through the pictures of known pickpockets for a possible identification of the man who'd taken his money. He was unable to find anybody who looked familiar. We told him to go home, and we said that we'd be in touch with him. 12:35 p.m. Frank and I checked back into the office.
You're rough one, huh?
Yeah, they all come out that color, don't they? I sure hope we can do some good for him.
Yeah, nice old guy.
You want to get in touch with Slim Ramos? Let's go down and talk to him. He might be able to come up with something.
Yeah, I'll get his number. I'll get a new book. This one's getting almost impossible to use. Look at this. Numbers all crossed out. You know when they change the prefixes?
Yeah.
They made a mess out of my book. Here it is. Export. 4. Slim Ramos there? Hey, Slim, this is Frank Smith. Yeah. Good. Yeah, say, Slim. Now, wait a minute. No, the reason I called you, Joe and I'd like to come down and talk to you if it's okay. You going to be there this afternoon? Uh-huh. No, nothing wrong. Just a couple of things we want to check over with you. Yeah. Okay. See you around 2:30, huh? Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. No, I know where it is. Right. See you then. He's going to be in all afternoon. Said he'd be glad to see us.
Good. Maybe he's got something we can use on this thing.
Well, he'll lay it out for us if he has.
Well, it's the one good thing about starting with nothing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can only go one way. 12:06 p.m. Frank and I checked out of the office and we started for Santa Monica. Slim Ramos had been one of the best pickpockets in the business. He'd been arrested and served a term in San Quentin. After he'd been paroled, he'd opened a small stand on one of the amusement piers near the beach. From his past record, Ramos had been cooperative with the police department, and several arrests were attributed to his information. Ramos was operating a Wheel of Fortune booth at the end of the pier. Frank and I parked the car and walked out.
Quite a place, huh?
Yeah.
I got to bring the kids down here some Sunday. They get a real kick out of it.
Yeah. That's Slim's booth there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't see him.
He said he'd be here.
He might be around back.
Yeah. I'd sure like to win one of those hams.
Yeah.
Big ones, aren't they?
Slim, you around?
Yeah, hold on. Be right out. Hi, Joe, Frank.
Hi, how are you?
I was in the back packaging some groceries.
Uh-huh.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to talk to you about a cannon operation.
Yeah, I should have known. Come on back here. We can sit down.
All right.
Hey, watch your heads on the counter.
Yeah.
Got a couple of shares back here. Come on, I can finish up the sacking.
All right, go ahead.
Well, what's it about?
You got any rumbles about a bunch working the downtown area?
What kind of operation?
Jug mob?
Seems like I heard something about a bunch coming in from the east. KC, I think. Seems I heard they worked a couple of still dates with a carny back there. Boss didn't know they were working. When he found out, he had them kicked off the lot.
You got any names for us?
No, not right off. Got to check around. Might be able to come up with them. What's the bit?
Yeah, they've been scoring good working the downtown area. Took an elderly man for his life savings this morning.
Uh-huh. Figures.
Huh?
They always pick on the elderly ones. Bump into a young guy might give you trouble. Pick the old ones, they don't seem to notice it.
Yeah. How you been doing, Slim?
Oh, good. Got it real good. I ain't killing the world, but my rent's paid. I know there ain't going to be a fuzz on my tail tonight. I got it real good.
How long you been here now?
Just been about a year. Thought if I could get permission, I might go out with a carny this year. You know, work the front end.
Mm-hmm.
Got a letter from a friend that's got a grind store at one of the big ones. Says he might be able to get me in.
A grind store?
Yeah, you know, everybody plays, everybody wins. Pay a dime to win a piece of slum worth maybe a couple of cents. Well, this carny I might go with's got no grift in the front end, all percentage games. The way I figured, if you go out with a good one, weather hole's going to do all right.
You figure you can come out better than you do here?
Oh, sure. You see, we get a real good play over the weekends. Regular days is kind of slow. Go out with a big carny, you can draw crowds anytime if the weather's good. Bound to come out better.
Mm-hmm. You'll check into those names for us, will you, Slim?
Yeah, I'll make a couple of calls.
Can you make them now?
No, I have to get in touch with the guys tonight. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning.
All right, fine.
Same number, Michigan 5211?
That's right. Bunko Fugitive.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you a call. Buy you guys a cup of coffee?
No, thanks, Slim. We're just going to eat. You want to come along? We'll buy you one.
Okay. Now, hold on while I check with Harry. Have him keep an eye on things.
All right.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Now, watch the counter. I came up too fast the other day, like took all the skin off my back.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. I'll be right back.
All right.
Nice looking place, huh?
Yeah. He's painted it since we were down here last time.
Yeah.
Well, let's go.
You painted up the place, huh, Slim?
Yeah, thought I might turn a bigger tip if the place looked good. You know, people like a clean-looking place.
How are the rest of the booths doing down here, Slim?
Oh, pretty good. I told you. Great. Other times it's a little slow.
Uh-huh. Any grip down here?
No, at least if there is, I haven't heard of it. Guy in the Santa Monica Police Department, Lieutenant Cunningham, he keeps the place real clean.
Yeah, that's right.
Last thing I heard about was a guy who was working with a camelback wheel.
A what?
Camelback. Like mine, only this was gaffed.
How?
Smoothest pitch around. The arrow is connected to a spindle. Spindle goes through a stand. Looks like there'd be no way to G it. Plain pipe. Looks clean.
What's the gimmick?
Well, the frame rests on 4 pins. Pins are supposed to be what anchors it to the counter.
Uh-huh.
Now, 3 of the pins go into one piece of the counter. They really do hold the wheel in place. The other one goes through a separate piece of wood on the booth side of the counter. There's a space between the board on the booth side and the one the 3 legs go through.
Yeah.
Now, the pin in the 4th leg is loose. It's connected with a bunch of levers inside the pipe, acts as a brake on the wheel. All the operator has to do is lean against the board, and he's got complete control of the wheel all the time.
Well, that's a real nice deal, isn't it?
Yeah, the way they figured, it's perfect. In case they get a cowboy in the crowd, the mark can pick the wheel right up out of the counter. Shows that there's no wires running to it. The wheel's gaffed, there's no way to prove it. Set it up with a couple of sticks in front, let them win a couple of times, you got it made. That's the way they figure it. Doesn't work out, though.
Well.
Now, like on my wheel, I got 120 numbers on it. Figure I get good action, I'm going to have maybe half of them covered. Right off, the odds are on my side.
Uh-huh.
Out of the rest, there's only one winner. Half of them covered means a gross of about $6. I give away $5 worth of groceries. Even with a winner, I come out every time. Percentages prove it. Look at it that way, you don't need a gaff wheel.
Yeah, it's too bad more of them don't figure it like this.
Yeah, I suppose. Took me a long time to find it out.
Yeah, but you came up with the answer.
I hope I can do the same for you on the cannon operation.
So do we.
It's funny. I get to thinking when I was working as a wire, how we figured that any time we could lift a poke from a mark was a big laugh. A lot of difference now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now I sleep nights.
2:15 p.m. We continued to talk to our informant, Slim Ramos. He said that he didn't know the name of the carnival the possible suspects had been fired from. He said that he'd call some of his contacts and try to get the information for us. We set up a time for him to get in touch with us, and then Frank and I drove back to the office. We contacted Captain Didion and made arrangements for additional men to be assigned to help us. Sergeants John DeBetta and Danny Gilmore were asked to aid us in a search of the market where the victim had been robbed. We spent the next 3 hours in the market looking at the crowd in the hopes that we'd see a known pickpocket or even see a wire in operation, but the surveillance netted us nothing. We made arrangements for the victim's bank to be watched the following morning. 6:15 p.m. Frank and I got back to the squad room.
Place sure does a good business, doesn't it?
Right.
The market, Joe. A lot of people go in there.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
Well, I was just thinking. I guess it comes down to the point where the only way to hang on to your money is to carry it in your hand and keep your fist closed.
It's darn close. I was talking with Lieutenant Jack Swan. He was telling me a guy came in here from Nebraska, came in by bus.
Yeah.
He was sitting in the station waiting for a coach to take him up north. Had all his money in his shoe.
In his shoe?
Yeah. Had it in his left shoe. Had the money all flat so we could walk on it. Figured it'd be safe there.
Well, wasn't it?
No. Dozed off for a minute. Next thing he knows, the shoe's off and the money's gone.
How would anybody know where it was?
I don't know. The guy that took it found it, though. Guy dozed off for a minute, loses his shoe and all his money.
Anything turn up on it?
No.
I get it. Bunko Fugitive Friday. Yeah. Yeah, Slim. Mm-hmm. What was that name again? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What'd he say about it? Yeah, wait a minute. Frank?
Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah, pencil. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, Slim, go ahead. Was that with a K? Uh-huh. Yeah. What? O-L-C? C as in Charlie. O-T-T. Right. You know where they stand. Uh-huh. All right. Well, give us a call if anything more turns up, huh? Right. Okay, Slim. Thanks a lot. Right. Bye.
How do you do?
Well, pretty good. 3 names of the guys who work the Kearney and KC.
Yeah.
Slim talked to a friend, got the information that the guys who work in the downtown area have been scoring real good.
Say where we could find them?
No, he's going to try to get the address for us.
Well, we took a big jump just knowing who they are.
Deal now is to make it work.
What do you mean?
Well, Slim says his bunch is pretty hinky. They're playing it real careful.
Yeah.
Word's out they got 2 more big scores to make, and then they're going to leave town.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
The 3 names our informant had given us were Howard Kremer, Victor Leiden, and Edward Alcott. We had the names checked through our record bureau, but we found that none of the 3 men had been arrested in Los Angeles. We got a radiogram off to the police department in Kansas City, the last place the trio was known to have worked. We asked that all information on the thieves be forwarded to us. We also sent a teletype to George Brereton up at Sacramento, CII, asking him to check the names for us. The following morning, Wednesday, May 11th, we got word from Kansas City that the officials there were forwarding mugshots and descriptions of the 3 men. During the day, Frank and I met with Captain Didion, and a surveillance of the downtown area banks was set up. On Friday morning, when Frank and I checked into work, a special delivery letter was waiting for us. In it, we found the records and pictures of Kremer, Leiden, and Alcott. The pictures were handed over to the photo lab, and they started to reproduce them. The descriptions were sent to the print shop, and M.O. sheets were made up. As soon as possible, the pictures and the bulletins were distributed to all bank guards in the area. Additional officers from Bunko Fugitive were placed in the vicinity. Frank and I maintained a rolling stakeout in the downtown area. At 9 p.m. Friday night, the banks closed, and we'd gotten no report that the thieves had worked. Local broadcasts were gotten out on the men, but there were no replies. Monday, May 16th. The plan was put into effect again. No results. Tuesday, the gang didn't work. It began to look as if they might have closed up operations in Los Angeles and moved on. Wednesday, May 18th. Frank and I came back from lunch. I get it. Bunko Fugitive Friday. Yes, sir. That's right. Where? Right. No, don't do anything to let them know. Right. Well, let's go.
Some good?
The shover, bank guard, just spotted him. The call had come from a bank at the corner of 7th and Jackson Streets. The guard told us that he'd seen one of the suspects enter the bank and under the pretense of filling out deposit slips, observe the withdrawals that the customers were making. It took us a little under 3 minutes to get to the address. We checked with the guard, and he pointed out the suspect. Frank pretended to make out a deposit slip while I waited at the new account desk. When we entered the bank, the suspect was standing at the teller's window. In front of him was an elderly man. As the line moved up, the suspect began to examine the slip that he'd made out. Then, as the elderly man took his turn at the window, the suspect walked away and stopped by the door. He waited for the man to finish his business at the teller's counter. Then, as he passed through the door, the suspect fell and stepped behind him. Frank and I followed him down the street. As he walked through the crowd, he was joined by Edward Alcott, the shover in the operation. The elderly man entered a small tobacco store, and as he went through the door, the wire, Howard Kremer, joined the other 2 suspects. As the elderly man stood at the counter waiting to be served, the shover walked over to the magazine rack. He stood looking at the magazines for a moment, and then as he turned away, he seemingly tripped and fell against the proposed victim. Both Frank and I knew what was coming. We were watching for it, and yet we missed the actual theft. The wire moved in and removed the victim's money so fast that we couldn't see it. The shover took the wallet from the wire, and the gang was ready to move on. Frank and I stepped into him. All right, Mr. Police Officers, you're under arrest. For what? Stop dreaming. You know the route. Now, come on. Beat it. Come on, grab the knife. All right, mister. Come on your feet. Get up.
Leave me alone. You're going to regret this. Shoving a citizen around. No reason for this.
How about the other 2?
They're out.
All right, let's get him downtown.
How about the victim?
No, he left when the beef started. Better try to catch him.
Yeah. You're going to be sorry for this. You wait. You're going to be real sorry shoving an honest citizen around.
Yeah, that's the trouble with you punks.
What do you mean?
You're wrong on both counts. The 3 suspects were taken into custody and brought downtown. The victim's wallet was found on the person of Edward Alcott. It was identified by the owner and booked as evidence. 3:15 p.m. We took the wire, Howard Kremer, to the interrogation room.
Sit down, Kremer.
Yeah.
All right, you want to give us a statement? For what? Come off it. You know what we're talking about.
You got to have me cross with somebody else. I'm trying to level with you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You want us to lay it out for you?
I don't care much either way. You guys slam into a store where I'm trying to buy a pack of cigarettes, and all of a sudden I got handcuffs on. You tell me I'm hooked for being a pickpocket.
That's the way you want to tell it, huh?
There ain't any other words.
Your two friends tell it different.
What two friends?
Two fellows we picked up with you?
This is a big town. A lot of people. You walk into a store, you don't ask who's standing next to you.
They put the whole deal on you.
Who?
Lyden and Alton.
Never heard of 'em.
How long do you figure you're going to keep this up, mister?
As long as it takes to get you on my side.
They don't build days that long.
That's your loss. I'm a nice fellow if you take the time to get to know me.
All right, Kramer, this is way off the road. Now, maybe you got all day, we haven't. You can either give it to us here and now, or we can drop you into a cell and let you wait it out.
You put me in a tank and I'll be out in half an hour.
How many times you been arrested?
Who says there was a first?
How many times?
You got the book? Look it up.
We ask you a question.
So I'm not a genius. I got trouble with addition.
Take everything out of your pockets.
What?
Come on.
For why?
Now, look, you're running on a funny time here, Kramer.
Then you better ring the bell, because I'll need more of it.
You got a job?
Yeah, I'm a president of a bank.
You're going way out on this, Kramer.
I like the scenery.
You work?
Yeah.
Where?
Round, no special place.
What do you do?
I'm a salesman.
What do you sell?
Whatever people can afford.
All right, now come on, put your things on the table right now.
You can sign a receipt?
They aren't going to be taken from you. Want to see what you're carrying.
Okay. You boys deserve a break, but I'll tell you now, the numbers in my phone book are mine. Don't go near them.
Come on, get it up.
Here's my wallet. Handkerchief, comb, nail clippers, some change. A couple of ticket stubs from a movie. A lousy picture. Cigarettes, lighter, that's it.
You got any money in that wallet?
Yeah.
How much?
I don't know. I don't pay much attention to how much I'm carrying.
You can't even come close to how much you got.
No.
Take it out and count it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Comes out to $3,700.
You must do real good at that salesman's job.
Company pays big commissions.
All right, put the money in your pocket.
Why don't you put it in yours?
What'd you say?
Look, cop, I've been around. I've been with most of the carnies in the country one time or another. I know the score. There ain't a place in the world that the fix can't be put in. Now, why don't you just take the money? You drop it in your pocket, and I'll forget I was ever in here. Won't be nobody hurt. The old guy's may be out a couple of $100, but so what? He won't miss it. Why not put the fix and we'll both come out all right?
No, the fix just curdled, Kramer.
What?
You said we had the record when you called it. We got all the word about you. Way down the line, you talk about how you worked with carnies. How long?
Huh?
What's the longest time you ever stayed with one outfit?
I like to move.
Yeah, sure you do. That's the way the people who run the show want it. Decent carny doesn't want a guy like you around. You or anybody like you. You've been on the road taking money away from people who can't afford it for a long time. Now we nail you and you come in here acting like a big man. You do the indignant bit, and then when that doesn't work, you try to buy your way out. Well, you've had it, mister. We know it, and your two buddies know it. When are you going to take a good look?
You really figure you've got it made, huh?
We know we have.
The other two guys really cop out?
The whole thing. All comes down to how you engineered it.
You buy what they say?
We buy it.
Then there isn't much more for me to say, is there?
Not a great deal, no.
Okay, let's go.
How about a statement?
Why?
Make it easier on yourself.
Easier if I cop out.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. All right. Bring the girl in. I'll give you a statement.
Right.
Yeah. You mind if I have a smoke?
What was that?
I said, you mind if I have a smoke?
No, go ahead.
Wild one, isn't it?
What?
Had it all down so pat. Good shover. Better jug mop. I'll sit in the front row with any wire in the business. All that don't add up to a win.
That's like you said.
Huh?
You got trouble with addition.
Howard Nathan Kremer, Edward Francis Alcott, and Victor Frederick Lyden were tried and convicted on 6 counts of grand theft money and received sentence as prescribed by law. Grand theft money is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years.
Dragnet is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. You get a call that a clothing store in Hollywood is suffering losses. The value of the stolen property is over $12,000. There's no lead to the identity of the thief. No pattern to his M.O. Your job, get him.
It was Wednesday, June 3rd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Bernard. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:56 a.m. when we got to 1592 Vine Street. Dodd's men's store. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Wonder if you can tell us where you can find Leonard Dodds?
Yeah, that's him. Fella back there in the blue suit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know how it happened, honey. No, I just came in this morning and I noticed the stuff was gone. The whole shipment of suede coats. Haven't even been unpacked yet. Yeah, about 2 dozen of them. Well, white with a button-down collar. Yeah, I called the cops and the insurance company. Yeah. Well, about 12,000. Well, a couple of customers just came in, honey. I'll call you back. Yeah. Well, don't worry about it. Yes, sir? Can I help the gentleman?
Mr. Dodds?
That's right.
Police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do, sir?
You reported a burglary this morning?
Yeah, you guys from Hollywood?
No, sir. We're out of Central.
I didn't think I'd seen you around here before.
You want to tell us what happened?
Yeah. Come on back to the store.
When did you first discover the theft?
Well, this morning when I came in, I went back here to unpack some new merchandise, and I found most of it gone. Here, I'll get to know it. Now, this is our storeroom. When we get a shipment from the east, the cases are kept here until we get a chance to unpack them and check the invoices.
I see. Was all of the stolen merchandise taken from this room?
I'm not sure about that. I do know that a shipment of suede jackets and waistcoats was in here. It's gone now. A couple of cases of shirts, too. The only way I'd have of knowing if they took anything from out in the store itself would be to make a complete inventory.
Mm-hmm. What do you estimate the loss at?
$12,000.
When was the last time you saw the merchandise in here?
Yesterday afternoon.
About what time?
Well, I'd have to guess at that. I'd say about 3 or 3:30.
How many doors are there to the store here?
Just the front one in the back, opens into an alley.
Wonder if we can see the rear door?
Sure. Back this way. One of the first things I thought of, too, but it was locked.
You opened the door this morning, did you?
Yes, I found the stuff gone, then I checked the door. It was still locked.
Uh-huh. You have an alarm system in the store?
Yes, it didn't go off last night, though.
I see.
Here's the door. You can see for yourself there's nothing wrong with the lock.
How about it, Joe?
No, there's no signs of it, Jimmy.
Well, that's what I thought, too. I looked pretty close. Couldn't see any sign of where they got in.
How about windows? Possible they got in through a window?
No, I'm sure of that. Only 2 we've got are in the tailor shop. Here. Now, you can see them up there. Good 10 feet and barred. They couldn't have gotten in there.
All right, we'll have our crime lab take a look.
Who has keys to the place?
Well, I've got one.
Yes, sir, but who else?
Well, there's just me and Al.
Al?
Yeah, Al Baker. He's sort of the assistant manager. Whenever I'm not around, he takes charge of things.
Can we see him?
Well, you can when he comes in. Listen, I don't want you to give him any trouble. I'd trust him with anything at all. I don't want you asking him a lot of embarrassing questions.
All right, sir. How long has he worked for you?
Oh, I guess it's been about 5 years. I don't think I could run the place without him. Sure wouldn't want to try.
I see. Besides this Baker, how many people do you have working for you in the store?
3 others full-time. During rush periods, I call in extra help.
Can you give us a list of their names?
Yes. But you can be sure of one thing.
What's that?
Isn't anybody who works at the store did this.
You seem pretty sure about that.
Well, I know my people. All of them have been with me for a couple of years. I trust them all.
I noticed that you're doing some remodeling here. How about the workmen? Possible one of them took the merchandise?
Mr. Friday, do you know how much $12,000 in clothes is?
Yes, sir. I have an idea.
The both of you couldn't carry it in one trip. Not in a couple of trips. Whoever took those clothes was here a long time, and he worked hard getting them out of the store.
Yes, sir. But about the workmen?
It couldn't have been one of them. None of them have keys to the place. We have to open up to let them in, and they leave before we close. If they tried to get the things out of the store, one of us would have seen it. Couldn't possibly have been one of them.
Frank?
Yeah.
You want to call the crime lab?
Sure. Can you use your phone?
Yes. It's on the counter in front of the store. I just don't understand it.
Sure.
Just doesn't seem to be any way they could have gotten all of the clothes out. No way at all.
Well, they must have found one. 10:38. The crew from the crime lab arrived and went over the place. The whole store was checked, and all entrances and exits of the store were checked for fingerprints. Both the front door and the rear exit were examined, but there was no mark of a Jimmy. The windows on the second floor were gone over, but the locks on them were secure, and there was no apparent way they could have been used to remove the stolen merchandise. We talked to the other clerks from the store. From them, we got approximately the same story that we'd obtained from the store manager. They verified that the merchandise had been on the premises at 3:30 p.m. the day before. None of them could say for certain that it was there after that, however. While Frank was checking with the members of the crew from the crime lab, I called the names of the employees into the record bureau for a check. Yeah, that's Baker, Baker, WMA, 46 years, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 156 pounds. Right. What? No, no visible marks or stars. Right.
Joe, I got something for you.
Okay, if you'll check the names, I'll give you a call later. Right. What you got?
Come on upstairs. I got talking to Lee. I figured from what they found, the merchandise had to be taken out in the daytime.
Lee goes along with that?
Yeah. The way the doors look, if they were open, somebody used a key.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks like we do, that somebody took the cases out, planted them, then picked the stuff up last night.
Well, what do you got up here?
A window that opens out on the roof of the next building. We'll check the lock. It hasn't been tampered with.
Yeah.
Come on. Climb up.
No bars on this one, huh?
Over here. Right there behind the air shaft.
Now, what is it?
Take a look.
Shirts.
And this one, suede coats.
Was this all that was taken?
No. Manager says it's about half.
No sign of the rest of it, huh?
No. Must have taken that last night. Figures the thief will be back tonight for the rest.
Well, it'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
So will we. We asked the manager of the clothing store to keep watch on the cases of stolen merchandise while we made arrangements to place a stakeout on them. 12:14 p.m. The crime lab finished their investigation, and Frank and I talked with Lee Jones. He told us that he'd checked the fingerprints found on the doors and windows, but that all of them had been eliminated as they belonged to the members of the store staff or to the workmen. He told us that they'd found an impression of a tire print in the dirt of the alley next to the building where the stolen clothing had been found. He went on to say that they'd checked them and found that the truck belonging to the plaster contractor had tires of the same type that had left the impression. The canvas was made of the tenants in the building next to the clothing store, but they could give us no new information on the possible identity of the thief. 3:52 p.m. We checked back with the record bureau on the list of names of store employees.
Yeah. When was that? Uh-huh. How long? You get out clean? Mm-hmm. Nothing on the rest of them, huh? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Anything?
Yeah. They checked the names, came up with one possible.
Yeah.
The assistant manager, Al Baker. He's done time for burglary.
The record bureau had come up with the information that Alfred Roger Baker had been arrested in 1943 for burglary. He'd been tried and convicted on 3 counts. He'd spent a term in the state penitentiary at San Quentin, and he'd been released. Since that time, he apparently had led the life of an exemplary citizen. 4:07 p.m. Frank and I took him to the office of the clothing store to talk to him.
Sit down, Baker.
Sure. What's this all about? You don't think I had anything to do with this burglary, do you?
How many times have you been arrested?
Why do you ask that?
We just want an answer.
You seen the record?
We've seen it.
You know without me telling you.
We'd like to hear it from you.
I was arrested once. I did the time. I'm clean since then. I thought when you did the time and they let you out, you didn't owe anybody anything.
Yes, that's right.
Well, then what are you guys hopping on me for? I just work here. I mean, just because I did a hitch for burglary, that I had anything to do with this.
We didn't say you did.
Well, you're sure acting like I did, bringing me in here talking about how I was arrested. Sure acting like you think I had something to do with this one.
Well, you look good for it.
Well, how do you figure that?
You got the only other key to the door.
Look, I don't like to bring this up. Maybe you bright cops haven't thought about it, but who says Dodds couldn't have done it himself?
What do you mean?
Well, he's in trouble, big trouble. This would be an easy way out of it.
All right, you tell us.
Well, all the stuff is insured. It'd be pretty sweet for him to lift the merchandise, collect on the insurance, and then sell the stuff, too. It'd come out real good.
That's the way you got it figured, huh?
I'm not trying to figure it anyway. All I know is that you guys are trying to wrap something around me that doesn't fit, and I want no part of it. Come right down, it must be a couple of guys work here who could have done it.
Well, the way we got it, the thief used a key.
Well, that brings us right back to Dodds.
Well, if he's in trouble financially, then why is he doing all this remodeling?
He hasn't got much choice. He's got to brighten this place up or he's going to lose what business he's got. You check into him. You look it up. You'll see what I'm talking about. It makes a lot more sense than you hauling me in here.
Can you account for your time last night?
From when?
From the time you left here.
Yeah, I can give you every minute.
All right, go ahead.
I left here at 6:30. That's the time I always leave.
Who was here when you left?
You mean who locked up?
That's right.
Leonard. He always locks up, always.
Where'd you go after you left?
Went up to the corner and had a beer. That's like always, too.
Anybody in the bar know you?
Yeah, the bartender and the waitress.
They'll vouch for you?
Sure they will.
All right, go ahead.
After I left there, I drove home.
What time did you leave the bar?
About 7:10. I had 1 beer, smoked 2 cigarettes, put a nickel in the nut machine on the bar, and went home. I left at 7:10. Sure wish I knew you were going to want to know all this. I'd have been more careful about remembering. I forgot how many nuts I got from the machine. I'll take a wild guess and say 14. I got no way of proving that. You'll have to take my word for it.
What time did you get home?
By 7:50.
Where do you live?
Out in the valley. Traffic's heavy going out at the path that time, and it took me 10 minutes longer than it usually does.
Did you prove when you got home?
Yeah, I can.
How?
Talk to my wife. We got a time clock on the wall just as you come in the door. I punch in and out. The time will be there.
What about last night?
I was home all night. I had dinner, sat around and watched television, and went to bed.
You didn't leave your house, huh?
No, not from the time I got home last night until I left this morning. Pretty bad, isn't it?
How do you mean that?
I can prove every minute of it. Look, you get off my back, cop. You start looking around, you'll come up with a lot of guys who had a lot more chance and a lot more reason to hide that stuff than I do. That won't be hard because I haven't got any. You sit tight and I'll show you who stole that stuff.
Huh?
Wait a minute.
Where are you going?
Just over to the desk. I want to show you something.
What?
You'll see.
Hold it just a minute. Now, you show me what you want and I'll get it for you.
Yeah, you cops, you never learn, do you? Open the top drawer.
This one?
Yeah.
All right.
Now open that one.
All right, what do you want?
All right, a folder right there.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one. Put it up on the desk.
All right.
Go on, open it.
Yeah?
Now take a good look at the reason the stuff was stolen.
What is it, Joe?
Bills. There isn't anything in the store that's paid for. Take a look at them yourself. Here. Look here. Past due. Please remit. Your credit is important. Overdue. Past due. Go through the rest of them. They're all like that. There's no place in the country anymore that'll extend any credit to Dodge. Not one. You're looking for somebody who had a reason to steal the stuff. Well, there's your answer. You talk to Leonard Dodds. He's got the reason.
Come in.
Joe. Thanks. See you in a minute.
I'll take it. Okay.
Telling you, you got to lean on somebody. You lean on Leonard Dodds. He's the one. Don't come around here bothering me.
Joe. Yeah. Here, what do you got? He might be telling the truth. Huh? Stuff on the roof. Yeah. It's gone.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
With the removal of the remaining packages on the roof, our main opportunity of catching the thief was gone. We questioned the people in the store about it. From them, we learned that the manager, Leonard Dodds, had brought the cases of clothing into the store himself. We talked to him, and he offered as an explanation the fact that the insurance company wouldn't like him leaving a supply of expensive suede coats up on the roof. He went on to say that catching the thief was our business, but we were not to interfere with his running of the store and any attempt to apprehend him. We tried to question him regarding the accusations made by the salesman, Al Baker. He said they were ridiculous and that we should know better than to listen to the accusations made by an ex-convict. He went on to say that he resented the questions we put to him, and that if we intended to continue, he would have to get in touch with his lawyer. We contacted the office and made arrangements for a stakeout to be set up on the roof of the building next door, and then Frank and I returned to the office to check further on Leonard Dodds. We checked with his bank, and we found that he had several notes on the clothing store. The head of the loan department told us that Dodds' payments had been irregular, and that at the time, he was overdue on one of the notes. We contacted the insurance company and found that Dodds had made a claim on the stolen merchandise that morning and had requested payment as soon as possible. We turned a list of the stolen articles over to pawn shop detail and asked them to see that the information would get into the hands of the second-hand dealers in the city. 10:15 p.m. Frank and I filled out the log and prepared to leave the office.
You about ready?
Yeah, I'll be right with you. I got it. Burglary Friday. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm not sure. No, the officer that handled the case isn't here right now. I wonder if I could take a message. Yes, ma'am. He'll call you when he gets in. All right, uh-huh. Yes, all right. If you'll wait just a minute, I'll transfer you to the main jail. No, the main jail. They'll probably be able to tell you. Yes, that's right. Just a minute. Hold on, please. Would you give this call to 2949, please? That's right, the bail clerk. Thank you. The woman wants to know how much it's going to cost to get her husband out of jail. I got it. Burglary Friday. Yeah, yeah, that's right, we did. Yeah. Well, when was that? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, we'll wait here. Right, bye. Well, looks like we got it made, maybe.
What do you mean?
Radio car out in the Westlake district just picked up a couple of kids.
Uh-huh.
Both of them were loaded down with clothes.
Yeah.
Label on them is Dodds Clothing. The radio car officer had told me on the phone that he and his partner, while making a routine patrol of the area, had spotted two boys walking down the streets carrying large quantities of clothing. When they were stopped, the two suspects were unable to account for the clothes, and they were not able to tell the arresting officers where they'd gotten them. In checking the pair out, the officers had called burglary detail, and we'd gotten our first concrete lead to the thief. 10:47 p.m. The two suspects arrived at the office. Their names were checked through R&I, and they were both found to have misdemeanor records listing petty theft and attempted burglary. One of them, Walter Kramer, had been convicted on burglary charges and had been sentenced to Preston School for Boys. He was at the time on parole. While the other boy waited in the squad room, Frank and I questioned Kramer in the interrogation room.
How old are you?
18.
Where do you live?
You know that already. What are you asking me again for? I told the other cop, gave him all the information.
Where do you live?
2574 Brandon Street.
You want to tell us where you got the clothing you had when you were picked up?
You're smart cops. You figure it out.
You on parole now?
No, I got out clean.
Are you still that way?
That depends on how you read this one.
Where'd you get those things?
I found them.
You expect us to buy that?
I don't care if you buy it or not. It's the truth.
You're pretty heavy, aren't you?
I've been around.
That time up at Preston didn't do you much good, did it?
You'd be surprised what I learned up there.
Not what you were sent there for.
That depends on where you're sitting.
You were picked up carrying a load of stolen clothes.
You want to tell us where you got them?
You tell me.
Now, come on, kid. Where'd you get the clothes?
You going to play it that way, are you?
There ain't any other.
Where were you yesterday?
Starting when?
From when you got up.
I gotta tell you all that?
We want to hear it.
Pretty dull.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I got up about noon.
You got a job?
Yeah.
Where?
Around.
What do you do?
Nothing. I'm a philosopher. I study people. I just sit around all day and study people.
How do you live?
Stay with my folks. They pick up the tab.
Go ahead.
With what?
What you did yesterday.
Told you. I got up about noon. Had some breakfast, then went over to Harry's.
That's the boy you were picked up with?
Yeah, I went over to his house, sat around and watched the television.
How long were you at his house?
Oh, maybe 6. Sat around and talked philosophy. Talked and watched the old movies.
What'd you do then?
Left and went out to study people.
Where'd you go?
Went down, played a couple of games of pool, had something to eat.
And after that?
Went out to a movie.
You got any way of proving that?
Sure, talked to Harry.
See your alibi?
Yeah, you talk to him. He'll tell you.
Now, you may not know this, but he's in the theft as deep as you are.
I got some information for you, cop. Neither one of us is in on it at all.
All right, get your coat.
Where you taking him?
City jail.
You gonna book me?
You called it.
How about Harry?
Well, how about him?
He going too?
Yeah.
What charge?
Suspicion 459 PC.
Burglary?
That's right. Come on.
You mean that stuff is really stolen?
That's right.
You telling me right?
Yep.
It ain't true.
You tell us about it.
No, I mean, Harry and me didn't steal the stuff, at least not the first time.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we stole it, yeah, you got us cold for that, but not the first time.
Well, where'd you get it?
From a garage, that's the truth. We stole the stuff from a garage.
Where is the place?
I'll show you. There's a lot more stuff there, a lot more.
Clothing?
Yeah.
Whose garage is it?
I don't know. Harry and me were walking around out there, and we saw this truck pull up. Guy got out and unloaded some packing cases.
When was all this?
Last night. The way the garage looked, though, it wasn't the first time. The place was loaded. A lot of shirts, coats, suits, all kinds of things. Harry and me figured that we might as well help ourselves. But we didn't steal the stuff originally, not the first time.
What's the address where the garage is?
I don't know. Up on Shortdale Avenue near the lake.
All right, we take you up there. Will you point it out for us?
Sure, I'll show you. I want to see him get his, get it real good.
What do you mean?
Imagine having a garage full of stolen things. Terrible, that's what it is.
Is that right?
Sure. The important thing is that you know that we didn't steal it the first time. You gotta believe that. We didn't steal it the first time.
Is there really a difference? 12:15 a.m. We talked to the suspect that had been picked up with Kramer. He gave us substantially the same story that we'd gotten from the first boy. They both agreed to take us out to the garage where they'd found the stolen merchandise. Before we left the office, we put in a call to the clothing store, but there'd been no report from the stakeout on the roof. The two suspects directed us to drive out towards Silver Lake. We took the freeway out to Glendale Boulevard and turned right. We drove out to Loma Vista, and then we turned right again. The boys directed us up the hill and then onto a side street. We went about a half a block farther before they pointed out the house to us. We drove down the street and parked the car. Frank and I and the two suspects walked back to the house and into the rear of the yard. The two-car garage in the rear of the building was unlocked. We went in. Scattered around the place, we found several large packing cases of clothing. The labels on them were from some of the most exclusive men's stores in the city. There was no question about it. This was the plant for the stolen merchandise. Frank stood by the back door of the house, and I went up on the front porch and rang the bell.
Yeah?
You're Martin Hetman, aren't you?
Yeah, do I know you?
My name's Friday, police department.
Oh, yeah, I met you over at Dodge. What is it, some more questions?
Yeah, a few.
Kind of late to come around.
Well, maybe a little.
You're just going to turn in. Can you wait till morning? I can come down to the police department.
No, I'm afraid we're going to have to talk tonight.
Oh. Okay, come on in.
Thank you. Anybody else in the house?
Just my wife and the kids.
Where are they?
Upstairs. They're all asleep.
I told you I was just going to turn in.
Uh-huh. That garage out back, does that belong to you?
What?
The garage out in the back of the lot, is it yours?
Yeah, it's mine. Why?
What do you use it for?
What do you use a garage for? I keep the truck there.
Well, where's the truck tonight?
I left it at a service station down Glendale Boulevard. Having a grease and the oil change. Why?
Anybody else use the garage besides you?
No.
Everything in it belong to you?
You mind if I call my lawyer?
Well, you can do that from downtown.
You arresting me?
Yes, sir.
You found the stuff, huh?
We found it.
Got a cigarette?
Yeah, here. Here's a match.
I guess I should have gotten it out of the garage sooner.
No.
Figured on it first thing in the morning. When you talked to me this morning at Dodge, I should have known. Should have known right then. I didn't think you'd figure it this way.
All right, go on and get your coat.
Yeah, just let me finish the cigarette. You sure had it figured. Going real good. Want to hear about it?
All right.
Well, I'm a plastering contractor. You know that.
Yeah, you told us that this morning.
Well, I bid on the jobs. All the contractors submit bids on how much we'll do the work for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always got in with a low bid. Used to drive the other contractors crazy. Never could figure out how I could come out on it. You see it, though, don't you?
Well, you tell me.
Well, you see, if a job would cost me, say, $3,500 to do, I'd put in a bid for $2,500. I always get the job, and then I'd steal the other $1,000 of merchandise, see?
Mm-hmm.
That way I could come out and nobody get hurt.
What about the store owner?
They weren't insured. Only body in the middle was the insurance company. So you see, nobody really got hurt.
You about finished with that cigarette now?
Yeah, just about. You're pretty lucky, you know?
Is that right?
Yeah, sure. This was going to be the last time. I figured that after this, I'd be able to go it straight. Got my equipment all paid for, money in the bank. Figured I could go it straight. This was going to be the last time.
Well, you were right, weren't you?
Hey, you mind telling me something?
What's that?
How'd you tag me? How'd you find out?
We caught a couple of kids breaking into the garage. They'd stolen some of the clothes. They were picked up, and they pointed the place out to us.
Kids?
That's right.
Oh, about that. That's really terrible, isn't it?
What is?
Oh, this younger generation. Now, I had legitimate reasons. I was just trying to come out. Wasn't anybody going to get hurt my way. But those kids. I hope you're going to put them away for a long time, little thieves.
Come on, get your coat. Let's go.
It's just awful. No sense of honesty at all. I sure hate to think of what the world's coming to.
You want to tell me something, Hetman?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Well, you said you just stole the difference between what you agreed to do the job for and what it really ought to be. I got it right?
Yeah, just the difference.
Well, you hit the Dodge store pretty hard, didn't you? $12,000 worth?
Well, you see, that was a kind of a deal.
Well.
I didn't get anything on the last job, not a thing, so I had to make up for it, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to come out some way. Nobody'd expect me to take a complete loss, would they?
I wouldn't know about that.
I just wanted what I had coming.
Yeah, well, you're going to get it this time.
Martin Averill Hetman was tried and convicted of burglary in the second degree, 4 counts, and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 15 years, or by imprisonment in the county jail for not more than 1 year. Walter James Kramer and Samuel Arthur Nicholson were tried and convicted of burglary in the first degree. Burglary in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
NBC brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to missing persons detail. You've never heard of Fountain Green, Utah. You've never heard of Juanita Lasky. Los Angeles is a big city, 452 square miles, 3,356,969 people. Your job, find her.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime investigated and solved by the men who unrelentingly stand watch on the security of your home, your family, and your life. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, December 12th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of missing persons detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Ed Backstrand, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from lunch, and it was 12:47 p.m. when I got to room 67A. Missing persons detail.
Where'd you eat?
Federal Cafe. Good soup today.
What kind?
Corn chowder. It was real good. Place is jammed with Christmas shoppers. I had to wait.
Haven't even started my shopping yet. You?
Oh, I gotta pick up something for my mother. Prices are high. I'll send a lot of cards.
Wait till you get married, Joe. Ever try to sell a Christmas card to a kid? They got to have something with wheels on it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Missing persons, Friday.
Fountain Green, Utah, calling the Los Angeles Police Department. Bureau of Missing Persons. My party will speak with anyone in charge.
This is missing persons, Sergeant Friday.
Just a moment, please. Mrs. Lasky, ready with your call to Los Angeles.
Hello?
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 Here's your party. Go ahead, please.
Operator?
Yes, madam.
Could you please give me the charges for this call? I'm using my neighbor's phone.
All right, madam. Please signal when your call is completed.
Oh, yes. I'll do that.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello? Are you missing persons?
Yes, ma'am. Sergeant Friday.
This is Mrs. Hannah Lasky. I'm calling you from Fountain Green, Utah.
Yes, ma'am.
This is in regard to my daughter, Juanita Lasky. I haven't heard from her in well over a month, and I'm terribly worried.
Where was she staying in Los Angeles, Ms. Lasky?
At the Chelsea Hotel for Women. I have the address. 941 South Melrose Street. I can't understand it. Ever since Juanita's been away from home, she's written twice a week regularly.
When's the last time you heard from her?
The last letter I have is postmarked November 2nd. You know how it is, Sergeant. We have no relatives in Los Angeles, and she's trying to find work down there, living all alone. I just don't know what to do.
All right, Ms. Lasky. I'll take her description over the phone and make out a preliminary report. You'll have to send us a photograph of your daughter and a letter to the effect that you want us to trace her.
I'll get the letter and the snapshot off today.
Now, what's your daughter look like? What's her full name?
Juanita Marie Lasky.
Laskey.
No E.
All right. Her age, weight, and height.
She was 26 last July 10th, 128 pounds, and about my height.
Well, how tall are you, Ms. Lasky?
Oh, yes. 5 feet 7 inches. She has auburn hair. It's quite long, and her eyes are green.
Okay, I got it. Any outstanding scars, birthmarks, anything that might help us identify her?
But what's that?
I say any outstanding scars, birthmarks, anything that might help us identify her.
No. Juanita's a pretty girl. Nice disposition. Oh, that's about all, Sergeant.
Where can we contact you, Ms. Lasky?
122 Brigham Young Street, Fountain Green, Utah. When you find Juanita, I wish you'd have her call me right away. I'll pay for the call.
We'll do that, Ms. Lasky. What's your number up there?
This is the neighbor's phone, but they'll call me. It's Fountain Green 14R2.
Yeah.
You will try to find her as fast as you can.
We'll go to work on it.
Well, Juanita always comes home for the Christmas holidays. Do you think she's all right?
I wouldn't worry about it, Ms. Lasky. We'll call you just as soon as we get any kind of a lead on her.
Thank you so much, Sergeant. And if there's any charge, I'll be glad to pay it.
No charge. If your daughter's in Los Angeles, I think we can find her.
If there's anything wrong, you'll let me know right away?
Yes, ma'am.
You're very kind. Goodbye.
Bye.
What you got, Joe?
Some girl owes her mother a letter. Come on, Ben. Just a routine call. We made the usual check, the morgue, all the hospitals, the county jail. And then we went through the repeater file. We found a Juanita Lasky in the files, but the age and description didn't match. We put that lead in the discard. After the usual paperwork, the next step was to check her last known residence, the Chelsea Hotel for Women.
Here it is, Joe. Chelsea Hotel.
Yeah. 55 rooms, all outside. You're home away from home. Now let's go in.
Chelsea Hotel. Thank you.
Here's the bell.
Yes, sir. May I help you?
We're looking for a Miss Juanita Lasky.
I'll ring her room. Whom shall I say is calling?
Is she in?
I believe so. I just saw her about an hour ago.
Okay, would you ring her room, please?
Yes, sir. And whom shall I say is calling?
My name's Friday.
All right, Mr. Friday. Just a moment. Do you wish to speak with her on the phone, or shall I have her come down?
Ask her to come down if she doesn't mind.
She doesn't seem to answer. That's funny. I'll ring again. No, sir, she doesn't seem to be in. Would you like to leave a message?
Didn't you say you saw her about an hour ago?
Yes, I did. She must have gone out again.
I wonder if we could check her room.
Oh, no. Gentlemen are not allowed above the main lobby.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We're from the police department. Missing persons. I'm Sergeant Friday. This is Sergeant Romero.
Oh. You men are from missing persons, did you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm sure Juanita's just stepped out for a moment if you'd care to wait here in the lobby.
We haven't got much time, ma'am. We'd appreciate it if you'd show us her room.
Certainly. I'll get the pass key. That's 215. The elevator's right this way.
Thank you.
What seems to be the trouble? Some friend of Juanita's missing?
No, ma'am. Juanita.
Juanita? I don't understand.
Her mother's a little worried about her.
Down this way. Here we are. No wonder she didn't hear the phone. She's in the shower.
Yes, ma'am. Would you rap on the bathroom door and tell her we'd like to talk to her as soon as she's through?
We'll wait out here in the hall.
Certainly. Juanita? Juanita, there are two gentlemen here to see you. Juanita? Juanita? I'm coming in. It's Miss Waters. Sergeant?
Yeah?
There's no one in the shower.
Well, it's running, isn't it?
Yes, and I see a robe and towel all laid out.
We better take a look around.
Turn off the shower, will you?
Yeah.
She must have left in a hurry.
Say, here's a fresh change of clothing on the bed.
Where's the closet, ma'am? This door?
Yes, that's right.
Closet full of clothes.
There's a couple of pieces of luggage in there.
This isn't like Juanita. Funny, isn't it?
You say you saw her about an hour ago.
Yes, I did.
Coming in or going out?
Oh, coming in, I thought.
You have room service here?
Yes, we have a coffee shop downstairs.
Uh-huh. The tray of food here on the table hasn't been touched. Coffee's still warm. Shut that radio off, will you, Ben?
Yeah.
Could she have gotten out of the building without you seeing her?
No, we don't have a rear entrance.
You sure you didn't see her go out the front door just before we got here?
No, I did not.
How about her mail? Has she been picking it up lately?
I think so. We can check that down at the desk.
Yeah, here's some letters. Postmarked Utah. Return address. Mrs. H. Lasky. Mother.
Yeah, let me see that other one, Ben. This is one of your telephone message forms?
Let me see. Yes, that's right.
Says long distance call operator 2, Fountain Green, Utah. According to this slip, this call was received at 1:25 today.
May I see that, Sergeant?
Certainly. There you are.
Yes, that's Edna's writing. Mrs. Tollefson took that call. She relieves me for lunch.
Well, do you know whether she returned this call?
Well, if she did, there'll be a record down at the desk.
Uh-huh. Now, you're positive that you saw Juanita Lasky an hour ago?
Yes, I'm sure. Just about an hour ago.
5'7", 128 pounds, green eyes, red hair.
Red hair? Oh, no. Juanita's a blonde.
Her mother told us that Juanita Lasky had red hair. Now, we weren't too surprised. A lot of women change the color of their hair. It would make identification a little more difficult, but not impossible. We checked down at the desk. Juanita Lasky had picked up all her mail, but she had not answered that long-distance phone call to Fountain Green. The next step was to question some of the people in the Chelsea Hotel who knew Juanita. We tried room 217.
Yeah, Gloria, these men are police officers. They want to ask you some questions.
Oh, yes. Is it all right for them to...
Yes, of course. This is an exception.
Won't you come in?
Thank you.
What's your name, miss?
Gloria Edgerton.
You know Juanita Lasky?
Yes, I know her. She has the room right next door to me.
Have you seen her today?
No, I haven't. I've been out doing my Christmas shopping. Why?
We were trying to locate her, Miss Edgerton.
Well, isn't she in her room? I thought I heard her shower going.
Yes, you did, but she wasn't in there. When was the last time you saw her?
Last night at dinner. We always eat dinner together.
Did she say anything that might lead you to believe that she was going anywhere today?
No, she said she might do some Christmas shopping today, so I suggested she go with me, and she agreed. She said she'd let me know this morning.
Did she?
No, she didn't. I just assumed that maybe she was sleeping in, so I went on alone. Are you sure she hasn't just stepped out?
We don't know.
If you're just going down to the corner, it's a little unusual to leave the shower running, the radio on, and let your lunch get cold.
Did she do that?
How long has Juanita had blonde hair?
Well, ever since I've known her, about 6 months. We moved in here together. We work at the same place.
Where's that, Miss Edgerton?
At the Clagett building. We're elevator operators.
I see. Who's your immediate superior down there?
Darlene Camp. She's chief starter.
Mm-hmm. You got that, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
She have many dates?
No, not too many. Juanita likes to go steady.
Who was her steady boyfriend?
Paul Matthews. He works in the Clagett building, too. He's in the dental lab for Dr. Welty, 6th floor.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add that might help us find her?
Well, are you sure she's lost?
The Clagett building is in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. It's a business and professional building. The cornerstone says erected in 1924, and it stands 12 stories high. The main entrance is on Hill Street.
Going up. That's all in the car, please. All right, Marion. Going up. Get back in the car, please.
Are you Darlene Camp?
Yes. Just a moment, please. Going up. All right, Dora. Can I help you?
I'm Sergeant Friday, Police Department. This is Sergeant Romero.
Yes, sir.
Juanita Lasky work for you?
Yes, she does. She's one of my operators.
When's the last time you saw her?
Anything wrong?
No, we're just trying to locate her.
You just missed her by 45 minutes. All right, Sylvia. She was in to pick up a check.
Do you know where she cashes her check?
Most of the girls cashing out at the bank on the corner. There's only one around here over on 8th.
You say about 45 minutes ago?
Yes, that's right.
Thanks very much, Miss Camp. Come on, Ben.
Going up. All right, Marion.
Bank's not far from here.
It is kind of funny, isn't it?
What's that?
Her room, the shower, the radio, that lunch.
Sure pulled out in a hurry. What do you think?
I don't know what to figure. It's a new one on me.
She's alive, we know that.
Well, she was, 45 minutes ago, anyway.
Christmas is here. Santa Claus in his chimney.
Yeah.
No.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Yeah, that's all right. Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Here we are, Joe.
Guess we better check with the manager, huh? You the manager?
I'm the assistant manager. Can I help you?
Police department.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to find out if a check has been cashed here within the hour.
Yes, sir. And what's the party's name?
Lasky, Juanita, payroll check, Clagett building.
Yes, sir. I know Miss Lasky. If you'll step behind the counter, I'll get the check.
Thank you.
If you'll just wait right here.
Okay, thanks.
Wonder why she stopped writing to her mother.
It's a good question. When we find her, we'll ask her.
Wonder if anything was wrong where she worked.
No, it didn't seem to be. We'll check back there when we finish here.
Yeah. That boyfriend, Paul Matthews, too.
Yeah. Oh, here's our man.
Yes, sir. Here's the canceled check. I okayed it.
You sure it's the same girl?
The blonde girl, elevator operator in the Clagett building.
Was she alone?
Oh, I think so.
Did she appear normal?
No, she didn't seem to be as friendly as she usually is.
Does she have an account here?
She did have a small savings account here, but she closed it out about a month ago.
I see.
Well, here's our card. If you should happen to see her again, give us a call.
I'll do that.
Thank you very much.
Entirely welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We went back to the Clagett building. Ben called the Chelsea Hotel from the phone booth in the lobby of the building. Miss Waters, the manager, was keeping a sharp lookout, but Juanita Lasky had not been heard from. Paul Matthews worked in the dental lab for a Dr. Welty. His office was number 637.
Yes, gentlemen, may I help you?
We'd like to see Paul Matthews.
I'm Paul Matthews.
We're from Missing Persons Police Department. Sergeant Friday. I'm Sergeant Merrill.
Yes, sir.
Do you know a Juanita Lasky?
Yes, sir.
When's the last time you saw her?
Saturday night. We went to a show. Is there something wrong?
We're trying to locate her. Do you see a lot of each other?
Yes, we do. I don't understand.
Miss Lasky disappeared from a hotel a couple hours ago. Thought maybe you might know where she is.
No, I don't. Today's her day off. Maybe she's out shopping. Has Juanita done anything wrong?
No, it's just that her mother hasn't heard from her for quite some time.
I can explain that. Juanita's an elevator operator here in the building. That's how I met her. They don't make much money, you know.
Yeah.
She was having a hard time making ends meet. She sends money home to her mother every month or so, and besides that, she's got to pay rent and buy clothes and eat. It's pretty rough.
She seemed despondent over all this?
No, I wouldn't say that, but she was kind of unhappy about not getting a raise.
Do you have any outside job?
No, sir, she didn't.
What kind of a girl is she?
What do you mean?
Cheerful, good-natured?
Oh, sure. Fine girl. We get along swell. I still don't get it.
Well, maybe there's nothing to it. Just a routine check.
I hope she's all right. When did all this come up?
A couple of hours ago. We might have to check back with you.
If I can help.
Okay. Thanks for the information.
Here's our card. If you hear from her, well, give us a ring.
You don't suppose anything's happened to her?
That's what we're trying to find out. Goodbye, Mr. Matthews.
When we got back to Central Division, we had a full description of Juanita Lasky teletyped to all outlying stations in the metropolitan area of Los Angeles. We also put out an APB. We double-checked the repeater file and the wanderer file. We made out a full report on our findings to date. During the next 8 days, we located a missing husband for a wife in Memphis, Tennessee. We picked up a runaway boy missing from his home in Reno, Nevada, and a 79-year-old veteran of the Spanish-American War who left his home in Bakersfield, California because he didn't like his daughter-in-law's cooking. But Juanita Lasky was still a mystery. For 8 days, we checked and rechecked all her known friends and habits. We went back over the course a dozen times, but no trace. It was almost as if she had ceased to exist that day in the Chelsea Hotel. The letter and photograph from her mother had arrived, and we circulated it to cities all over the country. Her mother wrote that during the war, Juanita was a whack corporal. We put a tracer through to the War Department. That way, we'd have another photo and a full set of fingerprints.
Well, where do you want to start today?
I'll get it. Missing persons, Friday.
Joe, this is Spencer over in the morgue.
Yeah, Archie.
You still looking for that girl? What's her name? Ramona Lasky?
Juanita, yeah.
Just had one brought in. Looks like your girl to me.
The city morgue is located in the basement of the Hall of Justice on West Temple Street, across the street from the city hall. A lot of missing persons cases end right here. Archie Spencer met us at the door.
Hi, Joe. How's the wife been?
Oh, fine, Archie.
Over here, Joe. Cooler 23. Give me a hand, huh?
You bet.
That's her, isn't it?
When's she going to be posted?
As soon as your fingerprint man gets here.
Yeah.
That's Ramona Lasky, isn't it?
Juanita.
Juanita, I mean.
No. No, that's not her, Archie.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, I was almost positive. Sure looks like this picture in your bulletin.
Yeah, she looks a lot like the picture, but it's not Juanita Lasky.
5'7", green eyes, blonde hair, about 130. How close can you get? Look at the face. You sure that's not her?
Yeah, I'm sure. Look at her hair, the roots.
Yeah.
They're blonde all the way down. They ought to be dark. Our girl's a bleached blonde.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Look at her right hand, index and middle fingers. Heavy nicotine stains. Our girl didn't smoke, Archie.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, guess I was wrong. That's not Ramona.
Juanita. Come on, Ben. That afternoon, we got another phone call from Fountain Green, Utah, Juanita Lasky's mother. We told her we hadn't found any trace of her daughter. It was a hard job. We had answered calls like this before, but maybe it was just the season of the year. Somehow, we felt that we had to find Juanita Lasky by Christmas. We covered every angle we could think of. We kept close watch on all incoming reports. We stayed in close contact with her friends and Miss Waters at the Chelsea Hotel. Regardless of the name on the incoming reports, we checked every set of fingerprints against those we had received on Juanita Lasky from the War Department. Still, no trace. December 23rd, we checked in for work at 8:30 a.m. Chief Ed Backstrand wanted to see us.
Got a little something on the Lasky girl. Might help you.
What is it, Skipper?
Man by the name of Willard Harris. Owns a bar out in Pomona. Phoned in this morning.
Yeah?
Found a woman's handbag left in the bar. Driver's license made out to Juanita Lasky.
Why'd you think to call us?
He's got a television set in his bar. Saw the Lasky girl's picture on Sergeant Rosenquist's broadcast last night.
How about the girl?
Says he can't place her. You better hop out and pick up that purse.
Willard Harris owned the Mission Trail Bar. It was in the bus terminal in the heart of Pomona. The Christmas traffic was heavy all the way out Garvey Boulevard. It was 10:45 when we pulled up in front of the bar. Willard Harris was inside taking a liquor inventory when we walked in.
How do you do? You, Mr. Harris?
Yes, that's right. You fellas with General Liquors?
Los Angeles Police Department. My name's Friday. This is Sergeant Romero.
Oh, say. Glad to know you boys. Yeah, I called Los Angeles this morning.
We came right out.
Say, how about a little eye-opener? Got some fine Irish whiskey.
No, thanks, Mr. Harris.
How about your partner there?
No, thank you.
All right, boys. Guess you want that purse, huh?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Here you are. Just as I found it. I opened it up to get the owner's name, but that's all. Didn't touch a thing.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Harris. You said that you didn't remember seeing the woman who left this.
No, I don't. Herb works with me here. He might have seen her, but he didn't. I asked him the night we found it.
How long ago did you find this purse?
Oh, better part of 2 weeks. No, a little closer to a week. Yeah, about 8 days ago. I usually hold something like this for 30 days. That's the law, you know.
Yeah.
But I saw that fella on the television on that missing persons program. That's how come I called you, boys.
Well, thanks very much, Mr. Harris.
That's all, boys. It's cold out this morning. Sure you don't want a little nip?
No, thanks, Mr. Harris. Goodbye. We checked the personnel at the bus terminal, but none of them seemed to recognize Juanita Lasky's photograph. We checked the contents of her purse, but we found nothing unusual. 4 $1 bills and some change and the normal things women carry. Since there was money in the bag, we felt sure that Juanita Lasky had lost the purse herself. That meant that she was alive 8 days ago, 2 days after she walked out of the Chelsea Hotel. It's the only print carried on a California driver's license. It matched the same print on the War Department record. It didn't prove anything except that all the evidence tied in and belonged to the girl we were looking for, Juanita Lasky. The next morning, December 24th, we checked in for work at 8:30. Morning, Ben.
All right, Joe, here's the daily report. You want to check them?
There's a mess of them. Let's get at them. You look through any of them yet?
No, not yet. I figured I'd wait for you.
All right, I'll take half. Huh?
Got any shopping done?
No, you?
Some. Lunch hour mostly.
Mm-hmm. Found some nice cards.
Be sure to send me one.
Yeah, I'll hand it to you in the morning.
Let's trade shaving lotions like we did last year.
If I get any.
You can get some. My kid's got a bottle all picked out for you. It's called South Pole for that cool food.
Yeah.
Well, he's only a kid.
You feeling, wasn't it?
Better when he gets older. So he'll do it.
Tell him tap, Friday, on the Lasky case.
Thanks, Holmes. Oh, Ben, listen to this.
Yeah?
Bureau of Criminal Investigation, Sacramento. Here's a kickback on our APB.
Yeah, what's it say?
Reading your APB, number 43 on 12/12/48. Our records disclose that Juanita Lasky applied for a position of civilian clerk at Marchfield, California, U.S. Army Air Base, using alias Gene Davis.
How about the fingerprint classification?
Yeah, let me find it. Yeah, FPC. Key 19, primary 32/32, inner over outer, final 15/17.
Prints check out. That's our girl, Joe.
The Sacramento report stated that Gene Davis had applied for government work at Marchfield, California. Well, a couple of things dropped into place. Her purse had been found in Pomona. That's right on the main highway from Los Angeles to Riverside. And the application for a job at the Army Air Base a few miles beyond Riverside. We put through a long-distance phone call, and they told us that Gene Davis was employed there as a civilian clerk but failed to show up for work that morning.
It seems like we run fresh out of luck every trip, doesn't it?
We get so close, and then she's gone again.
What you think she's on the go for?
If I could figure that, I could find her. I'll get it. Missing persons, Friday. Yeah? We'll be right over. We didn't find her, but she's been found. Juanita Lasky just walked into the Chelsea Hotel. We went over to the Chelsea Hotel. Technically, our job was completed now. Juanita Lasky had been found. We went over to make out a routine report. The streets were pretty jammed with last-minute Christmas shoppers, so we walked the last block to the hotel.
What's your guess, Joe?
Let's ask her. Come on, let's go in.
That looks like her over by the desk there.
Yeah, pretty well memorized that face.
Sergeant, this is Juanita Lasky. Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero. Juanita.
How do you do, Miss Lasky?
How do you do? I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. Miss Waters told me.
Do you mind telling us? Where have you been?
Sergeant, I don't know. These last 12 days have been a complete loss to me. Miss Waters told me what happened. I went over to see my doctor. He said I had temporary amnesia. I have to have treatment.
I see. What's your doctor's name, Miss Lasky?
Dr. Rudner over on Crenshaw.
Well, we're glad you're okay. Kind of had us going there for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could I use your phone, Miss Waters?
Oh, certainly. Help yourself.
Thank you.
Long distance?
I'd like to place a person-to-person call to Mrs. Hannah Lasky, Fountain Green, Utah. That number is 14R2.
Fountain Green, Utah, 14R2.
That's right.
Your name and number, please.
Joe Friday, and this is Hempstead 8594.
Thank you. Rate operator. Fountain Green, Utah, route and night person rate from Los Angeles. TC Mount Pleasant, Salt Lake, night person 140. Through Salt Lake. Salt Lake. Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant. Fountain Green. Fountain Green. Fountain Green, 14R2. Mrs. Hannah Lasky, Los Angeles, California, calling. Thank you. Ringing operator.
Hello?
Mrs. Hannah Lasky, please. Los Angeles, California, calling.
Oh, yes. Hang on. I'll get her.
Waiting on your party, sir.
Thanks.
Getting through all right, Joe?
Yeah.
Lucky. Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Hello?
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 Hello, Ms. Lasky.
Yes?
Just a minute, Ms. Lasky. Juanita,
Yes?
you're wanted on the phone.
Oh, who is it?
Just say hello. She'll take it from there. Let's go, Ben.
Hello? Yes? Hello, Mother.
Come on, Ben.
Yes, I'm all right. Mother, it's so good to hear your voice.
See you tomorrow, Joe. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
The story you have just heard is true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
Upon further examination by competent medical authorities, Juanita Lasky was found to be suffering from periodic spells of amnesia. She was given treatment, and a complete cure was effected. You have just heard the 8th in a new series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet is furnished by the Los Angeles Police Department.
Tonight's program is dedicated to Corporal Grady A. Beecham of the 9th Precinct Metropolitan Police Force, Washington, D.C., who, on the night of December 2nd, 1948, gave his life so that yours might be more secure.
Dragnet came to you from Los Angeles. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.